We figured we were going to see this, and this is our first tornado warning of the morning so far. So let's jump right in on this here. I'm going to get it a little tighter on this just so you get a better sense of what we're seeing. So we figured we were going to see some of these, and that is what we've got. So this goes until 4 o'clock. That does include parts around Thompson's, around Siena as well. So if you're in the Thompson, Siena area, this is radar indicated. Is that right, Caroline? We don't have anything on the ground?
Radar indicated.
Okay, radar indicated. And this is what I figured we were going to see because of these bands that are starting to come on shore. So you're getting a little bit of a whipsaw effect. And that's part of that big band that we saw a second ago from right outside of Pearland and into Manville. Let me widen this out so I can take that off real quick and just get you a sense of what we're seeing. So let me put this back into motion here because you saw a second ago, we've got a lot going on the board. Let me jump into a couple of other areas. We do have that flash flood warning, and that does include parts of Matagorda and Brazoria County. That goes until 4:45. And then, of course, you have this aerial flood advisory where we've got till 6:15. And then, of course, in the center of that or just north of there, we have that tornado warning. And this just a second ago, Caroline told me is moving. Is that west?
West at 50.
Okay, moving west at 50 miles an hour. So anything that would try to sort of form within this, I think at this point we're going to be looking at something that's just moving so fast, it's going to be very difficult to be able to pick that up. However, let's take a look at what the velocity product is showing. And velocity basically says, what are you seeing out here in terms of potential, from any kind of spin itself? So if we jump a little tighter on this, it's probably this little notch right here. This is kind of what we're looking at as you see it. And in fact, I'm going to draw this out just so you get a sense. It's right in here, which is probably what we're going to be looking at, or at least what the computer is looking at as it tries to figure out, is there anything moving? So let me put this into motion the last hour and just get you a sense. It looks like, when they went under. So it's probably some sort of a quick rotation within that little cluster itself. Moving west at 50 miles an hour, that goes until 4 o'clock, so about the next 15 minutes. And I expect to see more of these. I don't think this is the last one that we're going to see. There'll be more of these as we go in through the rest of the night tonight as well. So let me back this out and let's get back over to the radar just to get you a better sense of what we're seeing in terms of not only the heavy rain potential, but just a lot more headed out there as well. Okay, so let me back this out. So we'll do a quick little reset. Just saw a second ago, it looks like the center of the eye wall, or the center of the eye, is making landfall right now. So I don't know if we have official landfall, Caroline. If you happen to pick up on that, let me know if they say it. But I mean, we're close at this point. We've been seeing not only some of the heaviest rain and, of course, some of the heaviest wind that's starting to pick up across much of the coastline now. So that includes Galveston towards the west end of the island, where you saw our own Bill Spencer and, of course, Mayo Diaz. Transformers are starting to blow in those areas as well. But then as you go a little further down the coast towards Surfside, where Rochelle Turner is, and then, of course, Owen up at the convention center. And then now we've got, Gage Golding, who's been down there. And we'll get back to Gage here in just a second or two, because I want to kind of get at the conditions from what everybody else has been seeing. This is the difference, is that he's in sort of the eye, the calm of the storm right now. I've been seeing a lot on Weather Twitter about some other folks, storm chasers, that are right about in his location, and everybody's just in the calm with that eye moving on shore as we speak. We've got flood warnings out, as you see, across parts of the Brazos River as well. Expect to see more of those. And again, this is just the beginning that we're going to start to see conditions going downhill across the metro, out to Katy, Sugar Land, down towards parts of Fort Bend County. So let me put a stop on this just to kind of get a quick reset. If you're watching us here, it's 3:44. We have our first tornado warning of the morning. That does include parts of Thompson towards Siena. That goes until 4 o'clock. That is a radar indicated tornado, meaning that there is nothing that we're seeing on the ground. I just checked the velocity a second ago, and it doesn't look like there's anything with a sort of a tight couplet, meaning that you've got wind going in and outbound, sort of that crisscrossing or the shearing of the winds. But I would expect, with the storm starting to come on shore here over the next 3 to 4 hours, there will likely be more of these tornado warnings that are coming out. So this just gives you an overall sense of what we're seeing here over the next 4 to 5 hours as conditions start to fall apart. I want to show you a live shot. This is from right here at the KPRC2 studios. This is our Empower Pharmacy camera, and we've actually got it pointed back off to the south. This is the south side of the station here at Southwest and Gessner, if you're familiar with where we are at. So that goes down towards Beltway 8 as it goes north and then southbound, and we'll see what kind of conditions over the next 1 to 2 hours as that starts to get closer to us, exactly what we're going to be dealing with. And obviously the other parts of the story is it is raining and it is just sloppy. You can see the winds right now at the station here are starting to get upwards of around 20 to 25 miles an hour. And of course, we're all all under tropical storm warnings, hurricane warnings to the coast. All of this, basically from down to the coast, moving inland, these are, you might as well just call these power outage potentials, because that's what we're going to see as this storm system gets closer to us. Let me head over to Caroline Brown, who's got more on that tornado warning. Caroline, we said we're going to see more of these. I would not be shocked if this is just one of many over the next 5 to 6 hours.
I fully expect this to be one of many. We do have a tornado watch in place. That's through 10 a.m. this morning. And one thing about tropical tornadoes, we see them often. There's a lot of inherent rotation in these outer rain bands, and that's why this tornado warning was issued. We saw that rotation. So a big difference between these type of tornadoes and what we see during other times of the year. They happen very fast. We already have the rotation in the atmosphere. They'll touch down, and just as quick as they do, they'll lift back up. The good news is that means they don't typically stay on the ground as much. The bad news is that means you're not going to have as much warning before these tornadoes reach your location. This is why it's imperative to know exactly where you would go if a tornado warning is issued for your location, because even this tornado warning, when it was issued, the National Weather Service said that this is moving to the west at 50 miles per hour. You can't outrun this in a car, not with Houston traffic. If we switch this over to velocity, you'll be able to see the rotation a little bit trickier to see, but bear with me here. The rotation that we've been watching, the closest, likely right here, that's going to be just to the north of Gubbles Road, Akron right there. You can see AP George Road just to the south and to the east. This is likely where we're seeing that rotation. So if you're in this area, you do need to be seeking shelter. It's going to be moving its way towards Rice Field Road and Booth Line Road. That's going to be the intersection. Now, this is pretty sloppy looking on the radar. That is for sure. But this is what we're looking at right now. Shear, this is showing winds moving in different directions in relation to our radar. This is showing that's most likely happening right here, Ricefield Road, Akron, AP George Road. This is where we do have that rotation currently ongoing. So another thing to factor in with all of this, of course, we're on air showing you that tornado warning. That's going to be the heavy rainfall, because we are watching the rain really start to stack up. I'm going to show you 3-hour rainfall to show you how heavy the rain has been, but then also 24-hour to show you areas by the coast. Take a look. We do still have those flood advisories and this flood warning in place, but right now, rainfall accumulations, it's been really impressive. Sweeney down towards Freeport, we're talking 4.5 to 5 inches of rain, and this event is just getting started. Let's continue to look further towards the north. Areas underneath that tornado warning, Sienna, Needville, Rosenberg, this system moving its way towards you. We certainly are seeing heavy downpours there, 2 inches, 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. So certainly heavy rain coming in, but it's unlikely that we're seeing any major flooding problems. So as a reminder, if you are in this tornado warned area, you need to move to the lowest level of your home, interior room, put as many walls between yourself and the outside as possible. You don't want any windows. So for most people, they're in their homes, it's gonna be an interior closet, it's gonna be a pantry. And hey, if you're listening to this in Southeast Texas, even if you're not underneath that tornado warning, know where you would go, because likely we're going to see several of these as the day goes on. So if you think, oh man, my pantry's full, clear it out, make sure there's enough room in the closet for yourself and your pets, because we are likely going to see more of these tornado warnings as the day goes on. Another thing to note, wind speeds here estimating at 76 miles per hour. Now, this is measuring higher up in the cloud, but still, this is suggesting that we have very intense winds in this area. So you want to be staying away from all windows. The big concern there is that anything can become a projectile. While we're talking about anything becoming a projectile and tree damage, this is your reminder. Keep your devices charged. Plug in your phone, plug in the iPad. If you do lose power, you're gonna wanna have a way to get weather information. And if you're watching us on TV right now, you can watch us on your tablet or your phone. click2houston.com/watch live. That's a really easy way to get information. If your TV's not working, You just got to have your phone charged. So that's why I recommend you charge it. If we animate this to show you just how quickly this is moving, radar really looking like a mess, but you can see even up towards Sugar Land, now seeing heavy tropical downpours. These colors, those red colors, and even this deep purple color that we're watching. This is going to be in the Fresno area, down towards Arcola. That's going to indicate blinding rainfall. This is going to quickly cause street flooding. Justin, with any of these, we're seeing rainfall rates well over 2 to 3 inches per hour. And then on top of that, the tornado warning's already starting.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked with that as well. And in fact, that's one of the big things we've been talking about. And I just checked that band 2, Caroline, where that tornado warning is right here, about 2 to 2.5 inches per hour. So we're likely going to start seeing some street flooding here across parts of Fort Bend County. Would not be shocked to see that. So let's jump in a little tighter of where we're seeing this, where Caroline was just talking a second ago. Not only that, and again, this is a radar indicated tornado warning. It does not mean that we have anything on the ground at this point, but certainly one of those spots that if this happens to have something that dips down very quickly and then shoots across an area, it could still do some damage. And in fact, our own Bill Spencer had talked to some officials earlier down in Galveston, said that there may have been some damage from a possible tornado as well. We're going to try to see, after the conditions are better for Bill, if he can get down there and at least we can see it and assess exactly what happened. As I said a second ago, here's what it looks like if you're just waking up with us now as we're approaching the 4 o'clock hour. This is our Empower Pharmacy camera from right here at the KPRC 2 studios. Not a lot of traffic out there in the Southwest Freeway, and that is certainly good news. So let's jump in a little tighter on some of these areas and just get you a better sense of what we're seeing. So of course we've got that aerial flood advisory. Notice that's for parts of Brazoria County in towards parts of Galveston County. That goes until 6:15. Of course we have our tornado warning. That's for areas around Thompson's over towards Siena as well. That goes until 4 o'clock. And then the most, or I should say the spot we've been watching with the greatest concern in terms of flood potential as a flash flood warning until 4:45. And that includes Lake Jackson, Freeport, Oyster Creek out towards Bay City as well. All right, so let me back this up. So let's head over now. It looks like Erica said we've got a live picture out towards Sugar Land. Okay, so let's pop that up right now. Okay, so this is a Greatland and Greatwood, excuse me, thank you. This is the Greatwood area right outside towards Sugar Land there. And that'll give you a good indication of just how conditions are going to start falling apart very quickly. What's really interesting to note about this is if you remember yesterday afternoon, we were getting some of the outer bands of Beryl that were moving on in. It looked like this. We were getting wind-driven rain that was sliding across the area. And this is what we're going to see over the next 4 to 5 hours out across not only Sugar Land, but into Katy, Rosenberg, Needville, if you're watching us down that way. Conditions are probably going to start falling apart in the next 1 to 2 minutes there. So you saw that was our photojournalist that's out working in that area. So, okay, let's jump in a couple of spots a little tighter on some of these areas in particular. There was Sugar Land, as you saw a second ago. And so as we mentioned, that the winds are starting to pick up with some intensity. I'd expect winds that were anywhere from around 20, 25 miles an hour will probably start picking up closer to 30 to 40 within the next 1 to 2 hours. The storm is going to be making landfall within the next 30 minutes down at the coast, which is what we're seeing right now. We'll go down to the coast here in just a bit. But if you go anywhere from Bel Air, there's Highway 90 down towards the Beltway as it slides across this Brookside Village. There's Pearland, Hobby over towards Macawa. As you get towards South Houston, here's the other thing too. I've had some folks that have asked me questions to say, are there going to be flight delays today? I would not be shocked if there are cancellations all day today. If you're trying to get in or out of town, probably not going to happen today. Tomorrow, better. Maybe later on this evening, we'll see what the conditions are like, but I cannot stress enough. If you're watching us across much of the metro area, this is just beginning. We're going to be in the thick of this for the next 4 to 5 hours. And in fact, let me turn this back on just to get you a sense of the, we'll call it moderate rainfall that we're seeing out across the inner loop right now. And you go just south of there from 288 on down to the Beltway. And I'll widen this out just to get a better sense of what we're seeing. This first heavy band is starting to press northward. And as it does, it's going to bring the rainfall rates from this are anywhere from around 2 to almost 3 inches per hour. About 2 inches per hour is enough to do street flooding, side streets, feeder roads. If you've got an area in your neighborhood that that just doesn't drain very well or it fills up very quickly when you get big thunderstorms, expect those to go under very quickly. Once we get closer to 3 to 4 inches per hour, which is not out of the question what this storm could do, that's when we're talking about some concerns across some of the bigger roads, state routes, this FMs, or even some of the interstates. Now, most of the main interstates, if you're new to town, there's a reason why they're all elevated and they have those little holes as you're driving along because the water fills up, drains down to the feeders. That's one of the reasons why those feeders fill up as quickly as they do, and those are the ones you really need to watch out for. Best just to not go out anywhere if you don't need to at this point. Looks like we've got a secondary one.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll get you information on that. Let's see what we've got. So that's a new tornado warning right in behind that. That's until 4:15. So we've got 4 o'clock and 4:15, and I'd expect to see this too because this is what we're starting to get some of these bands that are coming through. So let me jump in a little tighter on that just to get a sense of what we're seeing, and it's right about that same area. Okay, I'm going to slide over to the velocity here real quick, Caroline, just so I can get a sense of what I'm seeing, if there's anything. I'm not picking up on anything there so far, but same story as we've said a second ago, is that all of this that we're getting is likely just, at least some rotation within the clouds itself. So let me put this in motion over the last hour here just to get a sense if there's anything that I can pick up on. Yeah, looks.
So near Iowa Colony.
Yeah, I got it right there. Okay, so basically Iowa Colony towards Manville, 288. So we're talking about between Highway 6 and 288. If there is something that's trying to swirl or trying to dip down to the surface here, this is what we're looking at. And again, we're not picking up on any major signatures, which would basically be all of this red, which is outbound winds going away from the radar site, which is over in League City and Dickinson, by the way. And then you have sort of a green inbound wind. You saw that right near Thompson just a second ago at the very end of this. So my guess is that these are, these are radar indicated, meaning that there's at least some rotation enough that the National Weather Service says, hey, we're going to slap a tornado warning on that. Let me put this, stop this in motion here, and let's put the radar back on just so you get a sense of what it looks like. So there we go. Okay, so again, we've got tornado warnings, and I have this little button right here turned on. You see these arrows? These are called skits, and they're basically sort of severe markers is probably the best way to describe them. Anything that may be in the storm that could turn severe, hail, some kind of rotation. We'll see if we're picking up on any of that. And in fact, let's turn the base rotation on right now, and I'm just not seeing anything that we've got. Storm relative velocity, I'm not picking up on any of that as well, so we'll turn those back on just to get a better chance if we're seeing anything. We're not at this point, but that said, there's still probably an indication that we could be looking at some rotation anywhere from Iowa Colony over towards Manville. So there's 288, there's Highway 6, and then of course you've got the first tornado warning from Thompson's. That's sliding over towards Fairchild. There's Needville over to Pleak as well. All of these areas, this heavy rain, as we said just a second ago, is picking up anywhere from 2 to almost 3 inches per hour. So the whole area is under aerial flood advisory until 6:15. Let me widen this out just to get a sense. So starting to see some conditions going downhill. What's interesting about this too is that you notice just how compact the storm is. And as we said a second ago, we've got our own Gage Golding down here in Matagorda Bay. When we talked to Gage about an hour ago now, I want to say, or probably about 45 minutes ago when we first came on the air, he had said he started to believe that the wind was going down. Their anemometer, handheld one that he has, which is a measure of the wind speed, was clocking closer to 90 miles an hour and then had dropped down to about 25. My guess is that his conditions are vastly improved from the rest of our crews that are all along the coastline here, including Bill Spencer, Mario Diaz, Rochelle Turner, and then of course Owen Conflenti, who's over towards the Galveston Convention Center, and Galveston Island as well, one of the spots that's under that aerial flood advisory because these bands just continue to roar on shore. Now, interestingly enough, if you go just west of the storm, look at this over towards Colorado County out to Victoria. Absolutely nothing. So this will give you a good indication of just the compact nature of Beryl as it's coming on shore, and all of this is going to roar northward. I think I saw a second ago the last shot I had seen from center point was over 55,000 outages. And Caroline, you mentioned a second ago too that both Wharton County and parts of Matagorda County were about 40% power outages with this storm starting to come on shore. So all of what we're seeing out here, just to kind of put a bow on things, is exactly what we were expecting over the last 2 to 3 hours as this storm got closer and closer. And so what we'll start to see as we transition now from 4 o'clock, as we're coming up at the top of the hour, going into about 6 to 8 o'clock, inland areas, so that includes all of Houston Metro, your conditions are going to start going downhill very quickly. If you're just waking up with us now and you're thinking, oh, it's light rain out there, I'm not seeing a whole lot, just wait, give it 2 to 3 hours, things are going to start to go downhill. The good news is that over the next 1 to 2 hours, especially on the south end here from, let's say, Port O'Connor to Port Lavaca, down towards Matagorda or Aransas County, then northward up to the Bay, we'll start to see some improvement. But back end of the storm right here still has to come through. So that means Port Lavaca sliding inland as you get towards Palacios. And then, of course, all of the barrier island there towards the Bay. This all still has to get the backside of this storm coming through. So expect the winds to pick up. I'd expect the storm surge to start to slide a little further to the north. And that'll start to put areas just south of there towards, let's say, Rockport in a much better condition over the next 1 to 2 hours. But we've still got some very heavy rain. And these rain bands, Caroline, are really starting to pick up speed. So I would say that some of our rainfall totals that you've shown so far that are close to what, 2 to 3, almost 4 inches at the coast, I would easily say we could double those numbers when it's all said and done here in the next 5 hours.
I think getting 8 inches of rain is certainly possible. That's going to be a concern. A quick update from the Hurricane Center. We now officially have landfall that happened around Matagorda, Texas. We were anticipating this. We've been watching as that eye has been pushing its way on shore. They're now saying officially Beryl has made landfall in Matagorda, but remember, landfall is not the end. Landfall is really the beginning here in Southeast Texas. We still have to deal with storm surge, heavy downpours, and of course, that ever-present risk of tropical tornadoes. Tropical tornadoes, they spin up quick and they're on the ground for a short amount of time, but you need to take them just as serious as you would any other tornado warning. So this is a look at that tornado warning we're watching right now. This is for Fort Bend County and Brazoria County in place through 4:15 a.m., so about another 13 minutes. If you're within this warning, you need to be in your safe place right now. Interior room, away from any windows. Don't chance it. Go to that interior lowest level. Bring your kids, bring your pets, and just wait until this warning has expired. You can bring us with you on your phone. click2houston.com/watch live. We're still waiting on that new advisory, so we will be checking up on that map periodically because we are expecting a brand new cone at 4. But let me tell you, even with that new cone, it's already moving its way on shore. We're not going to see a lot of change. We've been watching as this makes its way to the north. That's going to be continuing to make its way up towards the north. Justin.
Yeah, they let that first tornado warning expire at 4 o'clock.
Good.
So that's an indicator that you and I have been talking about a second ago, that these are radar indicated and we're not necessarily seeing anything on the ground yet.
Yes.
Can't confirm that there hasn't been any damage. If we get any information on that, we'll let you know. But expect to see these fire up, and then when they expire, they will likely let them go. This is just mainly a precautionary measure at this point.
Absolutely. And you want to take all of these extremely serious as they're going to be popping up. In fact, right now, let's take a look at our reflectivity, see if we can see any other potential spin ups here. So this is what we're looking at. This is our storm winds. So winds relative to our radar. Our radar here in Southeast Texas, that's located right in League City. So the red, that's winds going away from the radar. Greens are winds going towards the radar. So when we see them close together, that's going to indicate rotation, spin, tropical tornado. That's going to be the big threat that we're monitoring. Thankfully, not seeing a tight rotation here, but the Weather Service did see enough as it was pushing its way through. So we're going to keep seeing these. We do have a tornado watch in place through 10 a.m. this morning. I expect this to be reissued as we go into the afternoon as well. But storm by storm, right now we're tracking this tornado warning in place, currently going to be in place through 4:15. So if we take a broad look at what we're currently watching, areas north of I-10, you really haven't seen a lot. You saw those outer rain bands yesterday around 1 o'clock, and now we've got more rain moving its way in. This will continue to push its way to the north. That's the good news. This system is continuing to move. In fact, right now our winds winds still moving it to the north-northwest at 10 miles per hour. We are anticipating our latest update with a new cone. That should be coming. It said 4 a.m. It's possible our system just moving a bit slow. But what you can expect, because Beryl's made landfall in Matagorda, that interaction with land, it's really going to start to decrease in strength. Think of the Gulf of Mexico like the food for this hurricane. It's had an unlimited buffet as it's moved across the Gulf. Now that it's on land, we've cut off this food supply, and we expect Beryl to start decreasing in strength. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to see a lot of rain. In fact, right now, rainfall totals, this is in the last 24 hours. Bay City, now nearly 6 inches of rain, and this is just the beginning. Bay City, about 20 miles north of the coast there, so almost 6 inches, 8 inches. That's going to be easy because additional rainfall between now and Tuesday, we're talking even for the Houston area, over 7 inches of rain. Keep in mind, we haven't seen a lot of rain so far. Here in Houston, only ½ an inch. So this is why we're urging you, stay home, stay off the roads. You don't want to be going into work today because conditions only going to get worse, especially as this system works its way to the north. The strongest winds, that's going to be around the eye wall. So this is where we can expect to see most of our power outages. I do briefly want to show you those power outages because we have been tracking this. Take a look at what we're looking at. Matagorda County currently seeing that deteriorate. Wharton County, 40% without power. Matagorda County, we're now saying over 70% of Matagorda County is without power. You can see 15%, these numbers, they're gonna keep changing, 83%. So a lot of locations are losing power. This is why we're urging you, keep your devices charged. If you lose power, you can still watch us online, click2houston.com/watch live. Justin, we're expecting to see a lot more power outages as we go through the next 8 hours.
Yeah, wouldn't be shocked. I mean, you saw a second ago, the tropical storm warnings go all the way inland into Harris County. And that basically is just a power outage map at this point, right? So I just want to give a quick update on that. I know we've got that active tornado warning till 4:15, but those are generally radar indicated at this point, and they're very preliminary just to kind of make sure there isn't anything that will try to touch down. If I get any information on that, we'll certainly jump back on the radar. But I want to get back out to some of the reporters as well, because we've got new folks. We're just after, 4:07 here, and people are starting to wake up and see what's happening. So I want to make sure that they know what's going out there as well. Quick note that it officially has made landfall at East Matagorda Bay. That is the first July landfall since Hurricane Hannah back in 2020 for the state of Texas here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very surprising. And that is where Gage has been, like all night, all morning long. Is that where we're going to check in right now?
I think so. But we do not have Gage. Okay.
Changed it. We're going to go to Mario first.
Okay. All right. Let's see what Mario.
Galveston.
Yeah.
And you were at the west end, Mario. It does not look like you would have moved, but I'm not sure what we're seeing right now.
Okay.
He can't talk right now.
Okay,
You're
so we
looking
just
at
have
this
his live shot.
picture, and just that rain
Wow.
is tremendous. I mean, it almost looks like some sort of camera or GoPro is underwater, and it's going over the camera.
Well, and remember, you saw a second. Oh, can you hear us, Mario?
Is this the road closure they're coming up on?
Yeah, I think they're coming up on a road closure
They're
here.
not going to be able to go past, maybe.
No, they may have to back up. Just while they're getting oriented here to figure out where they are.
Let's go, follow.
So the weather station in Galveston over at Scholes Field is reporting wind gusts of 71 miles an hour. So just under Category 1 hurricane force winds. That's at the airport there in Galveston, right?
Yeah.
And you were talking about how this side of the storm, the dirty side, is more like a whipping side.
Oh yeah, yeah. Think of like a.
Just stay right on top of them.
If you've ever, okay, so it looks like they're following some first responders there as well. Yeah. So we'll stay with the shot here for a second. Well, yeah, that's a great point, Sophia. So what you're seeing, if you divide the storm into 4, right, which is what we always talk about, the dirty side is the right side of the storm, right? So if it comes on shore at Matagorda Bay, which it did, then that puts areas west end of the island, Surfside. Jamaica Beach, right where Mario is driving right now, where he and his photojournalists are. And then, of course, the north right quadrant, which is now starting to become Brazoria County, parts of Matagorda County, southern Fort Bend County. And as you might expect, that's where we start to see some of those severe weather threats, which we talked about when we first came on the air at 2:30. I said, wouldn't be shocked to start to see those up into that sort of right front quadrant.
Right.
And that's exactly what we're seeing. Now, the problem with that is, as the storm moves inland and starts to sneak up the,
we're crossing
59 and then eventually 99 at the Grand Parkway, which is where I think the center is going to go, that puts most of Houston Metro on that dirty side. So I would not be shocked to see power outages start to increase. We already said, where were we at, Amy, at about
Now center point is
55,000?
80,000 right now.
Right, so I mean, this number is going to go over 100,000 by before the top of the hour.
Right, and that 80,000 for Centerpoint doesn't include what you guys were talking
What
about
we're
in
seeing down
Matagorda
right,
and
yeah.
Wharton. And so, do we think these kind of winds are going to be in Houston Metro, or will they die down?
I think it will back off a bit, but still, I would not be shocked to see winds across the metro area of 60 to 70 miles an hour. Now, let's put this into perspective. The derecho, when it came through, had maxed out winds of 90 to 110.
Okay.
And you saw the structural damage that it did, right?
Yeah.
Which is why it wasn't just, power outages, the transformers going down, this and that. It was the big, the big landlines, the ones that go all the way across the landscape. Yeah, those got mangled
Yes.
as that derecho came through. So I don't necessarily know that we'll see that kind of infrastructure damage, but I could see these types of wind gusts could knock out power for many folks as well. Okay, it sounds
trees.
like trees, tree limbs. You got it. Mario, can you hear us?
There he is.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. How you doing? I don't know if you can see me here right now. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, no, I was
hear
going to
me?
say we can hear you. Give us an idea of your location right now. We've been kind of tracking your shot for about 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, we just got back from the seawall. We're just on the west side of the seawall, and we're finally getting into that area. This is what it looks like in front of us, and honestly, this is really good compared to what we were dealing. Oh, there it goes. You see, this is like a whiteout.
Wow.
Fortunately, we have a sheriff's office pickup truck that's in front of us, and he's been helping basically shepherd us now for the past 25 minutes. So kudos to the Galveston County Sheriff's Office, two of them, for helping us light our way here. But let me tell you something. So about 45 minutes ago, you remember that live shot? We broke down because we had all of these transformers going off. Mm-hmm. We jumped into the vehicle and we started working our way back east towards the seawall.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there were 4 electrical lines down in the middle of the street. I mean, just 4 of them ripped apart. So that tells you there was an extreme amount of wind gusts that came in through that vicinity, much more than what you would expect at 75 miles per hour, because those electrical lines, they were significant, they were big, and they came down, and they were in the road. Sheriff's officer had a spotlight on it. We caught the spotlight. We obviously worked our way around, zigzagging him. And then we went all the way on the left side, and then we've been following him ever since.
Yeah.
But it was right before you get to the seawall here for about 4 minutes where you could not see anything on the road. And we were literally moving at about 5 miles per hour, stopping and waiting for the water to go through. It was like literally a fire hose. Several fire hoses were going against our windshield. That's what we were dealing with. And then now that we're at the seawall, we have this opening and we're starting to see things more clearly.
Yeah.
But a lot of transformers, I counted at least 7 that exploded on the way here. So that's in addition to what we saw right outside of the live shot location we were at. And our plan now is to go towards the Hotel Galvez and go live from that location moving forward. But, we've talked about this. We're driving in it because we're obviously having to move locations and we're reporting on this. No reason to be out here. None whatsoever. And kudos to the Galveston County Sheriff's Office for helping lead our way right now back to where we want to go.
Now, Mario, have you seen anybody out on the roads? I know you and the officer in front of you are out, but have you seen anybody else, any other vehicles?
No, and No, Sophia, and I'll be honest with you, this officer here doesn't know who we are. He just saw our truck and he flashed us. He has no idea. He didn't get close enough to realize who is that, what are they. He's just trying to lead us to where we can get more cover. When we first got to the island tonight, or excuse me, I should say last night, pardon me, because it is Good Morning on Monday, there were, I would say, no more than 10 vehicles that we saw making our way from the Galvez all the way to the west end. At one point, there were 4 together, and it stood out for us. Roger, we're going to have to keep on going, bud. I'm sorry, I got to tell Roger. We're going to keep on going down, Roger, down this road. You're good. And thank you, Roger. What happened was we saw 4 cars coming together, and I thought they were actually police officers, like doing some sort of patrol. They weren't. They were just 4 people. But I have seen probably less than 10 cars, and right now, there's one to our left here at the light, and it looks like a SUV that would be similar to what law enforcement would have, but we'll see here. But as you can see, and that's our camera right now. We're moving a little bit, and we've been moving the whole time since we've been here.
Yeah, and so you don't
This is
really.
what the drive's been like.
Yeah, you don't really know where this officer is leading you. Someplace where you can get under some sort of shelter, but we're not really sure.
No, I think he was just helping us. I think he was just helping us navigate the areas where there were trouble.
Yeah, just get out of the west end of the
lines
island there.
were big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes
get out
sense.
the west end of the island.
Right.
And he was just helping us get through there. And from here, it's pretty much open up. Trust me, this is good right now. This is very manageable. What we were dealing with earlier was, I've never seen anything like it, ever. That's what it was like. And it was whipping up on the truck with the wind because there was no protection. There was no seawall. The moment you got to the seawall, they cut down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's been, and here we go again, right in here.
Yeah.
It's been this way from start to finish.
Because what
Go
we're-
ahead, Amy.
Well, I was just going to say what we're hearing right now, since you guys are all sort of spread out there. Rochelle, who's in Surfside, was saying that they're in the truck right now because their truck is shaking and moving. It's not safe for them to get out and do, a shot for us. Obviously, we're keeping all of our crews safe and everybody's paying attention to all of that. But yeah, what you're seeing there, and then obviously they're getting hit pretty hard right now in Surfside as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the coast right now, right? It's anything that's in that hurricane warning that was designated. And this is that northeast quadrant, that dirty side, as it's like to be called, that's making its impact. And we're still several hours away from this being complete for us. Fortunately, it's a very fast-moving system, and that's going to get out of here quick. But even at 6 hours, it's going to do damage. Again, power lines are down on the west end of Galveston Island. I haven't seen that since Laura a few years back in Louisiana, and I remember navigating the back roads, and there was nothing but power lines that we could not get through. And that creates a challenge tomorrow morning once the system moves through and the sun's out and people are trying to get out of it.
Okay. We're gonna.
Amy?
We're about to cut away from you, but just where are you along the seawall? I was trying to see that street that you just passed.
Right now, I'm right in front of the San Luis Hotel.
Oh, okay. All right, so you're close to where Owen was.
Yeah, so I was just going to say he's over where Owen is.
Yeah,
Okay. All right,
And we're
Mario.
making, there goes another transformer.
Yeah. Stay safe, my friend, and you guys make sure that you get somewhere where it is. I was just noticing here, too, before we head over to Robert Arnold and Lake Jackson, is that we're starting to see power outages in southern Fort Bend County start to pile up now as well, right? And that's going to be the case as this storm moves inland. The center has already made landfall. Just saw a tweet from Gage a second ago, who's down in Matagorda Bay, and their conditions are starting to fall apart as we expected it would, as they're on the backside of that eye wall now at this point. And so probably if you're in Matagorda, if you're watching, it's 418, next 30 minutes is probably going to be pretty rough again. And then they'll see the conditions start to vastly improve by sunrise, which is great. But that also means by sunrise, we're now talking about Fort Bend County, Katy, Sealy, Waller County. All of Harris County is going to start falling apart here in the next 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah, we're looking at like 84,000 people right now
Yeah,
without
that's what I was
power
gonna
at Center
say.
Point. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Jumping.
Yeah,
Just in
absolutely.
the last.
Well, like I said, it'll probably be over 100,000 by 5 o'clock once they get a chance to see where their little gauges and stuff are going off as well. So I think we've got, is that right, Frank? We've got Robert Arnold over in Lake Jackson. We've not talked to Robert yet. Robert, if you can hear us, conditions have been going downhill for everybody that's along the coast. Give us the latest on what's happening with you down in Lake Jackson.
We've been at Lake Jackson for about the past hour, and for that entire time, this entire area has been buffeted by these really high winds that are just not letting up. They're only getting more intense as Beryl moves further inland. We're already starting to see a lot of debris come down. We've seen a lot of tree branches come down like this. We're starting to see street ponding in several areas. None of the roads that we've seen have been impassable yet, but we've come here to the law enforcement complex. We're at the police department. Across the street is the fire department. And the only reason we have lights on in this area are because of the generators. It's hard to hear, but I can hear the hum from these large generators that are keeping the lights on to these two buildings. And probably over the last 45 minutes, I've counted at least 5 of those blue-green flashes, meaning transformers are blowing everywhere. And as soon as you get beyond these buildings, it's pitch black. So power is out. I can't say if it's for the entire area. We haven't had a chance to check that, but certainly in the surrounding area, we don't see any power on except for the 2 buildings which are on backup. Of course, the police department and the fire department, and there's a helipad over there as well. We're also starting to hear some other debris. I heard some metal shaking off of the water tower across the street over there. Not exactly sure if that's siding, what that is. It's hard to see from the wind and the rain across the street, but I can hear that telltale sign of what sounded like metal siding hitting metal flapping in the wind as these winds are continuing to get stronger and stronger through here. But conditions, thankfully, have not caused any severe damage that we have seen yet. We also have not seen anybody out on the road except for emergency vehicles. So a lot of people are heeding those warnings. They already issued a mandatory evacuation for the town of Quintana, which is there on the water. That was done long ago, and we have not heard of any rescues at this point, but we're going to keep checking in this area in Lake Jackson as soon as we can get back out on the road.
Robert, I have a question for you. Is he on the edge of the eye at this point?
Yeah, he's in one of those stronger.
Can you guys still hear us?
Yeah, we could hear you, Robert.
And Justin was just talking about sort of where you are in relation to
I'm
the
sorry,
storm.
I can't hear anything.
That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, we got you, bud. You're good.
Me?
Okay. Yeah, to answer your question, Sophia, so he is on one of the outer edges. Guys, if you can take links too, and I'll show everybody here while they try to gather their shot here, is that, as we said, the storm, there you go, thank you. Storm itself is come on short. You saw that tornado warning expire too, as I expected it would. So this, again, these are just preliminary, but any of those bands are starting to get stronger as they're moving from Lake Jackson over toward west end of the island where we saw Mario a second ago. So he's still in the thick of it, so to speak. And then you see the eye now almost completely over top of Matagorda Bay, but the backside of that from Palacios over towards Port Lavaca down to the island itself and the barrier island right there in Matagorda Bay, right? So just north of Aransas Pass, that's going to slide northward. All of that's going to start to shift. In fact, I just got this from Caroline Brown a few minutes ago. The new 4 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center, it's now moving north at 12 miles an hour, so it's picked up a little bit of speed. Pressure has actually dropped a few millibars, which I expected it would. It's going to tighten up just a bit here. And the wind's still at 80 miles an hour, so we're still dealing with a Category 1 hurricane.
Now, my question for you really quickly.
Yeah.
See how the outer bands are moving, northwise. Is the eye of the hurricane, around the eye of the hurricane, those bands stronger than the bands that are whipping around on the dirty side? In terms of the wind, yes. In terms of the rainfall, probably not. My guess is right now is that the heaviest rain, wherever you see some of those red colors there from, Pearland on up to Houston, that's where an indicator where we could pick up anywhere from 2 to 3 inches in less than an hour. So that's enough to do some street flooding, right? Like I said, the feeders will flood at that point. I've been getting a few reports of some high water spots. I've got one at Beltway 8. That's at the westbound lane south over Alameda and FM 521. So only one we've got so far, which is good, but I expect to see more of those come, especially as some of these bands get closer to, downtown, moving into some of the more metro areas. Now, what's interesting is that some of that wind, even though we may not see the wind gusts clocking higher than what we've seen so far from some of our reports, and again, the highest estimate I've seen from one of the gauges was off of the Brazos River there in Matagorda County that was at 91 miles an hour in terms of a wind gust, right? That's enough to do plenty of damage. But you saw a second ago with Mario,
with Owen that there are power flashes going on in Galveston, and I'm getting reports as well from folks that are down on the island right now that said big chunks of the island are out of power, which I expect because of that ice, Sophia, to answer your question, as that lifts north. So if it stays on that northerly track, if that goes right across, let's say, southern Fort Bend County, Needville area, Thompson's, Rosenberg, Sugarland, right up through Katy, Brookshire, Fulshire, right across, Cinco Ranch out there near 99 and FM 1093. I would expect to see more significant power outages there as well. Because some of these spots as well were put together after the derecho. They just cut, the crews out there, at least in the East End in my neighborhood, they kind of patchworked it together thinking, oh, we'll have time to do this real repair when we need to. Now we may be running into some of those issues too.
Right, yeah, I mean, and so just so you know, if you're watching this and you're in any of those areas that he just mentioned in Cinco Ranch, I mean, we do have crews in Katy. We've got people spread out everywhere. Right now, we're just showing you where the conditions are the worst.
Right.
But we have people in place in your neighborhood to cover the whole greater Houston area. Right now, we want to check back in with Rochelle Turner. She is in Surfside Beach and sort of has been monitoring the conditions there. The last time we checked in with her, the wind was very, very strong. We could hear it. What's going on now, Rochelle?
Hey, Amy. The wind is still very, very crazy. It is intensified possibly by 10. I want to show you some video. We're at the Buc-ee's in Surfside that we just got maybe about 10 minutes ago. Take a look at this video of this massive sign. Okay, we don't have the video just yet, but I'll show you guys what fell right here in front of us. You see this giant sign? It is massive, and we heard a loud bang, and I was actually taking a video on my phone, and I actually caught a little bit of it, but one of our editors in the booth, his name is Eddie, he was actually rolling on this when it fell. It just shows you just how strong these wind speeds are. Right now, the wind speed on my phone says that it is 45 miles per hour, but the wind gust is 75 miles per hour. Now, since we actually moved off of the island, Amy, because it was just that dangerous, we started to see the storm surge get higher and higher. The area became pitch black, so we made up. You guys may have saw that little flash. That was one of the transformers. The power has been flickering on and off. So my producer just came into my ear and told me that we have that video. Watch this massive sign fall right here. Watch this video, guys. It just happened so fast. We were all just sitting here, people in the parking lot, when it just fell over. And I can't see the video myself, but we saw. Yeah, okay, so it just fell. So it was so scary. And let me show you guys this black car that is sitting next to us. It's so windy out here. Hold on, I'm going to show you. This black SUV was actually parked on the other side when that sign fell, and they quickly drove over here to us when it happened. It was so scary, but it just shows you just how strong the wind is here in this parking lot. We've been seeing heavy rain, strong winds in the Buc-ee's parking lot. As I pan over, I kind of want to show you guys some other stuff that we've been seeing also. So the gas station had these plastic wraps around the gas pumps, and further down, the plastic actually came off. It's so bad out here that the truck is starting to shake and rumble at times. And so we're really just kind of staying safe right now at this location until it kind of passes over. But the wind is very, 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 very bad. It's starting to pick up. And the rain, I got out just to try to use the restroom, and it feels like there's little pellets hitting your face. So this is what we're seeing in the Surfside area, and the power is flickering on and off. So it's pretty dangerous out here.
Okay. Well, Rochelle, you guys stay safe.
Turn it back to you guys.
Hunker down there as best you can at this point. We're going to get over to Caroline Brown here in just a second because we're going to kind of pivot. But I just saw something in her shop that I thought was rather interesting there as well. Did you see that all of the gas handles?
Yes, she said they
were
wrapped them in plastic.
Exactly, right. Very smart thing to do.
So the water doesn't get into the
Well, the water doesn't get in, and it happens to take a hose and rip it off, and then now you've got gas and a spark, and you got all kinds of stuff, right? Just problems at that point. speaking of, let's get over to Caroline Brown because she's going to talk about that first band that's now starting to smash its way across the South Loop, Caroline. And you said a second ago, we've been seeing rainfall rates with that close to 2, almost 3 inches per hour. And that's probably going to cause some problems here across much of the metro.
I mean, absolutely. We've seen heavy rainfall totals, Bay City over 6 inches, but now the strongest of the rainfall, not the winds, the rain, actually pushing into the Houston metro area. So if we take a closer look, you can see these deep red colors now north of Pearland from Hobby over towards Meadows Place, pushing its way right now into the South Loop there. So Bel Air, West U, very soon you're going to be seeing heavy torrential downpours. I'm going to put this in motion and you can see it's been pushing its way to the north. So as it does, this is going to make everywhere inside of the loop a mess. This is blinding rainfall. This is going to make travel nearly impossible. Stay off the roads if you can, because this is producing certainly very quick. We can expect to see street flooding with this as it makes its way towards the north. Rainfall rates, we're talking about 3 inches per hour. Certainly, you're going to have that blinding rainfall for at least a consistent hour here. So we're talking widespread, just 3 inches from this band alone. And currently it's pushing its way just to the north of Sugar Land. So if you are in Sugar Land, you had this band move through. We saw those live shots in Sugar Land. Now that's pushing to the north. Now you're going to be left in Sugar Land with a more consistent lulling rainfall. Elsewhere, we're continuing to watch more rain bands push their way on shore. Lake Jackson, thankfully, right now seeing just a lull for the heaviest of it, but more is going to be working its way in. I also wanted to show you the brand new cone put out by the Hurricane Center. This was updated at 4 a.m. and the updates are really positive, at least as positive as they can be at this moment. Take a look. The brand new cone has it staying a Category 1. One thing you'll notice here, our previous cone did have Houston Metro in the entire loop inside of the cone. This is showing where the center of the circulation can be. So passing over I-10 and Katy, likely around 8 a.m. still as a Category 1 hurricane, advancing up towards Brenham in the Woodlands. That's going to be 11 a.m. in the morning. Look at this, by 3 o'clock, already pushing its way towards Madisonville as a tropical storm. By 8 p.m. this evening, now it's up near Tyler and Nacogdoches, and then continuing by 4 a.m., already pushing out of here to Texarkana. So Justin, right now, this is going to be really the worst of it now in the next 8 to 10 hours.
Okay, thanks very much, Caroline. I appreciate that. Yeah, and you know, this is kind of what we were talking about at this point, is that we've got, you know, the storm has already made landfall officially, right? It just about 30 minutes ago at this point. But we're still seeing some of the worst conditions along the coast, which is why we've been hitting a lot of our reporters. We've got Bryce Newberry's out, I believe, in either Katy or Sugar Land. Rowan Belogan's out that away as well. TJ Parker's out that away. So when we start to pivot over the next 2 hours here and go into some of our inland areas, some of the conditions that you see at the coast now that are getting hit are going to start to back off. Conditions across some of the metro area, some of the suburb counties here in particular are going to start to go downhill over the next 2 to 3 hours.
Still early for that, but I just saw your screen popped again. More than 100,000 customers now without power, and that number continues to climb.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I see no reason why it won't. You know, and these are the bands that are just starting to get some of the more populated areas. So I would expect that number to probably double by the time we get towards sunrise, 7 a.m. at this point.
Yeah, and speaking some of those sort of suburban areas just outside of the Metro Houston area, we have someone with the Office of Emergency Management in Fort Bend ready to speak with us. Good morning, Greg Babst. Thank you so much. I know you guys are probably monitoring conditions there. Tell us what you're seeing right now.
Yes, ma'am. Again, here at the Fort Bend County Emergency Operations Center, we've been activated to a level 3. We have departments in here along with our first responders monitoring this weather and monitoring the response that is needed as these first weather bands come through. We're getting anywhere between 20 to 30 mile an hour sustained winds right now. Some gusts a little bit higher than that. Currently, just looking at some of the rainfall that we've had, the heaviest part is over in the Sugar Land area of right around 2 inches of rain.
Greg, are you seeing any damage at this point? Are you seeing maybe down power lines, down trees? I know it's still a little early, but are you seeing anything like that out there?
Yeah, we've had one report in the Rosenberg area of some down power lines and potential fire. First responders did get out to that. So we are seeing those impacts already starting here in Fort Bend County, and just wanted to make a note again, telling everybody to shelter in place, stay off the roads unless you absolutely have to. Again, as these storms start to come in, there are thresholds for first responders too, for their safety. So once we have sustained winds of over 50 miles an hour, those first responders are going to hunker down, wait for this storm to pass, and then be able to respond again.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask is what right now, from what you're seeing, is your biggest concern for Fort Bend residents? I mean, is it the possible rain or the wind?
Yes, ma'am. Again, the winds, the wind's the biggest concern currently as this first elements of the storm hit Fort Bend County. Again, we've told everybody to shelter in place for the winds, hide from the winds, as we say in Texas. And that's what we're telling everybody to do, is stay off the roads.
And Greg, do you have first responders out there right now in different areas camped out, making sure that the roads are cleared and looking for people that may be out on the roadways now, or are they heading out maybe in the next few hours?
No, ma'am. We've had agents and first responder resources out staged all throughout the night, ready and prepared for this type of event. We've been closely monitoring with all of our jurisdictions, city partners, stakeholders, and precincts.
Have you seen a lot of people out on the roadways still through the night?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, we're constantly monitoring all of our toll road and TxDOT cameras, and everyone seems to be listening to exactly what everyone's been saying, is to shelter in place.
Yeah, we shared earlier at the top of this hour, Justin Stapleton and Caroline Brown were noticing on the radar a possible tornado. It was a tornado warning, and Fort Bend County was included in that. Are you following those same things? It has since expired for anyone watching this and seeing this, but I know those things can pop up in these types of weather situations.
Yeah, again, we're still underneath a tornado watch. That's until 10 a.m. this morning.
Okay.
We held a small tornado warning from about 3:15 to about 4:15. But that has expired. The warning has. But we are in a tornado watch. I think we'll continually have to watch these warnings as they pop up until 10 a.m.
And for a lot of families who are up with us this early, maybe they've been up with us through the night, that are watching as these tornado warnings continue to pop up. Possibly we're going to be in the path of it here in Fort Bend County. What do you say to families that are concerned about maybe waking up in the middle of the night to take shelter from these tornado warnings? Is that the best advice if they're not already sleeping in an interior area or a sheltered area? Would you recommend that they do get up in the middle of the night if they do have those alerts?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, gather everybody in your family together. Get to the center point of the house. Solid structures, and then stay away from those windows.
Yeah,
and from the exterior parts of the house, because again, there could be projectiles. Those could be thrown to the house. So again, stay clear from the edges of the house. Get to the interior of the house and protect yourself and your family. Get everybody hunkered down together.
I mean, just very good reminders, because so many times when it's been years that you've been in a situation where you have weather like this or possibility of weather like this, you forget those things of what you need to do going into interior rooms and getting everybody together. So we appreciate everything you guys are doing there in Fort Bend to prepare and keep people safe.
Yeah. Last little note here. If you're not already signed up for our alert systems, you can text 888-777, and then in the text box, FBC-ALERT, FBC alert, all one word, hit text. It's going to send you a little note, text back to sign up for our alerts. Then you'll be able to get all those alerts as they come through your phone.
All right, that was great information. So text 888-777, and then you want to write FBC alert in the text.
Yes, ma'am. All one word.
Okay. All right. Greg Bapps, thank you so much. Fort Bend County Office of Emergency Management. Thank you so much for all of that this morning.
Yeah,
that's
can never
good
have
stuff
too
as
many
well.
alerts.
No,
Yeah.
no. Well, and especially now, I mean, this is how we communicate, right?
Yeah.
We've all got our phones up here. This is how I'm finding information as well. So that's a good way to get a hold of people. Okay, we're going to go out to Gage Golding, who's down in Matagorda Bay. I know, Gage, it's been a while since we've talked to you. You, sir, from everyone else that I have seen that is down close to your location, the storm chasers that are down there have all been talking about just how calm the last 38 minutes have been. Give us an update status on when we talked to you last time and what's happened since then.
No joke. I mean, polar opposites. I'm starting to think that this is it. We're done. I know it's not true, but it feels like it because I'm out here. It's barely sprinkling. I'm out here without a jacket on. There's practically no wind. And more importantly, the storm surge is gone. Look at this. I'm not going to lose my job today. We got the truck, and it runs. The truck runs. And there was water. I mean, like I said, this is a big Ford F-250, jacked up, souped up, super storm tracking machine. But the water was like over the tires, like very high. Could not see the bumpers or anything. So I'm very excited that our ride home, she's alive, she's running, she's charging things up because we got no power whatsoever. But I want to show you this. This is all that remains of the storm surge, and this is a roadside gully. If you actually look, you can see, if I get out of the way, you can see the white lines on the road. That's the fog line. That's the end of the right lane. So this is a roadside gully. There's supposed to be water here. What there's not supposed to be, I'm not sure if Oscar Chavez, this fantastic photojournalist here, can you see the little fishy swimming around in there? Because there's little fish that are swimming in the roadside gully. So I hope they find their way out of here because that's going to be a problem for them. But look at how incredible this is. I mean, right in the middle of the eye of the storm, you could come out here, you could grill and have a barbecue. You could, if it was sunny, you could suntan out here. I mean, this is so calm. But I want to show you how deep the storm surge was. This right here was actually busted off the hinges. The lock still locked, busted right off the hinges. So the water pushing that up, and that's about hip high. And as we come over here towards the back, this picnic table pushed whole way into the dock. This water at points, remember, rushing from the Gulf and the Bay into the Colorado River here behind the house that we were staying on, was once again about hip high. And we are on an elevated platform. Justin, we were talking about reports of 8 to 9 feet of storm surge. I wouldn't doubt it. I truly wouldn't doubt it because you think about storm surges above that mean tide, right? Above where that tide on average is. And we're elevated because we're on an elevated lot for a home, and this is clearly elevated even more. But this is that dock we started our night out on, and we could go back out. I'm not going to, but we could go back out there. That's how low the storm surge is in the water. There's no waves. There's no nothing. It's almost like a fairy tale. It doesn't make sense how you go from something so aggressive, so dangerous, life-threatening. We were recording speeds of gusts of over 100 miles an hour. And then you come to this, where it's calm. And you could quite literally paint a picture out here if you wanted to. You could set up an easel and paint a picture because that's how gentle and calm these conditions are. And, when we talk about storm surge, I think sometimes people just don't take us seriously when it comes in quick and it goes out just as fast. And it is a matter of sometimes seconds before you need to be in a high or safe location or be able to get out. It's not, I got 5-10 minutes. No, it's when it happens like that. And it really did. Whenever we were here live on air, we just looked out 1 minute, it was fine. The next minute, there's a river flowing into the Colorado River. And it's incredible to see how that all goes down. And then I want to mention, again, this is all going to happen to another degree. We went through hell already, and, hell part 2 is coming up after the halftime show. And it truly is mind-boggling. So for people at home, the big thing is as we stepped outside, we looked for a lot of different hazards. We looked for down power lines. We looked for critters that shouldn't necessarily be here. We actually inspected the bottom of this home to make sure that there were no deficiencies that were going to put us in jeopardy. And those are all things that you should do before you come out here and take pictures and FaceTime your friends in different time zones, because this is still an incredibly dangerous situation. And it's not time to get comfortable and say, hey, we did it. Because, we got through the first part, but we got to get through the second part and win this thing. So once again, I'm just mind boggled by how I'm going to be able to keep my job, Justin and Caroline, because that water was really high. I'm serious. You couldn't tell.
I'm not
you
gonna
couldn't
lie.
see any of this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Gage. When we saw the picture, our one of our MCCs on it brought it to us, and I thought, oh dear,
Yeah.
we may be in trouble.
I mean, Engage. Okay,
know.
so you've been monitoring conditions there, but you were like 50 miles from Freeport, where Rochelle just was, who showed us this sign that just blew over. I mean, and it's completely opposite. So then, Justin, how long does it stay like this for Gabe?
Yeah.
I mean,
How long does he have?
you may have less than 30 minutes, sir, before things are going to go to HE double hockey stick part 2, as you mentioned a second ago. So I wouldn't be shocked if, this is a good time to get everything charged up, because we will probably check back in with you when things start to go downhill. But the good news is that once you get into the backside of this, that's it. Maybe another hour of some pretty nasty conditions, and then everything is going to be shifting north. And all y'all down there at the coast in Matagorda, it's going to be muggy, messy, and probably pretty sticky out there for the rest of the day today. And obviously there'll be some damage and whatnot that you're going to have to clean up. But the coast, at least down on the south and the middle coast of Texas here, is probably about an hour to 2 hours away from things being finished.
Yeah, so don't pull out the barbecue grill just yet.
That's right.
Yeah, not yet.
That's right.
Yeah, and I want to make a point if I can have an extra minute here. A lot of times, and I saw this in Southwest Florida during Hurricane Ian. I actually know people that went through this. During whenever the eye came over, if they were in a position to move things around, move a boat around, move a vehicle around, we could fit this truck underneath this house, right? Or you could fit your car underneath here. Maybe you saw in the first part of the storm that water was coming up a little bit too high for comfort, and you're not sure what the back half's going to do. Don't do it. Don't put the boat under here. Do not put your car under here, because if that water rises, and it's just going to cause more problems banging against the bottom of your home here. So I saw it happen during Hurricane Ian in Southwest Florida. It might sound like a good idea. I can get a couple more inches and get up here. I can get the boat under cover. It won't blow away.
Right.
Don't risk it. It is not worth it, because you got to survive. The boat, the car, we can replace. We'll figure that out tomorrow. That's a tomorrow project, as I tell my fiance with all the honeydew things. But it's just not worth it. Don't put anything underneath the house that could potentially jeopardize the structure, especially because we got round 2 coming through. So I just want to put that out there for anybody listening or watching that is trying to save their assets. I get it. I would want to do the same thing, but don't jeopardize your house, because you got to get through this if you're still sheltering in place.
Yeah, that's some great advice, Gage. All right, we're going to let you go for now. We're going to check back in with you for round 2. Question for you,
Sure.
Justin. The first side of the eye of the storm, when he first got hit, the house was shaking where he was inside. I mean, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be dealing with that same intensity, that same relentless rain, the wind, the house moving like that?
Probably not, because the back end of this storm is fairly narrow. So I think he'll probably get some pretty decent conditions. I'm not going to speculate if it's 80 versus 90, 95, who knows at this point. But it probably will get messy for another 45 minutes as that swings through. But there's some dry air that's already starting to suck in on the backside of this storm here. And so now I think the threat that we're going to see over the next 2 to 3 hours here is obviously all of our friends and reporters that are on the eastern side of this, right? The dirty side, which is right up the coastline going into Galveston. And then, of course, all the inland areas as well. And Angleton just saw this 70-mile-an-hour wind gust reported in Angleton just 2 minutes ago. And we're starting to see some power outages around the Pearland and Friendswood area too. As we expected, these numbers are going to start going up. And we're probably going to see that get closer to 200,000 by sunrise. It's just before 5 o'clock, so we got about an hour and some change here before we
That northerly path.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the bulk of it now, of the wind, the rain, and of course the storm surge cutting up into the bay and then down around portions of the island is all going to start pressing inland. There you go. You can see it on the Storm Tracker 2 live radar at that point. And when we talked to Caroline just a few minutes ago, that big first batch was headed right across parts. Hey, guys in the booth, can you hear me? Can you, if you can, give me a shot of the tower cam right here at the KPRC 2 studios. We haven't looked outside the window here in just a bit. Yeah, there we go. So that'll give you a good indicator of just how sloppy the conditions are. And this is at Southwest and Gessner. And where is that camera? I'm not sure where that, oh, that's, okay, that looks like it's from, there's the tower. Yeah. So there's the Channel 2 tower. If you see the blue 2, For those of you that don't know where we are, we're at Southwest and Gessner, just before you get, or right past, depending on which direction you're coming from, Beltway 8. So we're in Southwest Houston at this point, and that'll give you a good indicator of just how sloppy it is. And here's the best part too, getting close to 5 a.m. and notice I'm not seeing much of anybody out on the roads at this point. So
Okay.
at least folks are starting to heed what we've been saying for the
Yes.
last couple of days as
Yeah.
well.
Absolutely.
Is to go. All right, so we saw Gage a second ago
Right.
where things are quiet. Now,
We're going to check in with Robert Arnold. He is in Lake Jackson. We saw that it was already getting pretty bad over there with the wind and the rain. So, Robert, can you hear us? What's it looking like now?
I can. It hasn't quieted down like it has where Gage is. We've still had the relentless rains, the relentless winds coming through the area. There's a lot of debris flying around. Power is out as far as we can tell in a lot of spots. I've seen at least 5 flashes of that blue-green light, meaning transformers are blowing. The only reason we have power where we are is because we're in the police department. The police department is in front of me. Behind me is the fire department. We're seeing a lot of street ponding even in this area. We're also hearing one of the scary things about being in these storms is you've got that black void out there when the power goes out, but you hear things rattling around out there like metal hitting concrete, so you know debris is lifting off. Like this is one of the pieces that just flew through the area a few minutes ago before our live shot. So siding is starting to come off. I don't know if Adrian, you can step out a little bit. It's hard with the way the wind's coming in the rain, drifting the rain sideways, but we're seeing a lot of tree branches come down as well. Fortunately, we have not heard any serious emergencies in the Lake Jackson area. I walked across the streets, spoke with some of the firefighters. They said they haven't had any major call-outs at this point, which is a good thing. No major fires, no rescues. We also haven't seen anybody out on the road except police vehicles. That's also a very good thing because as we were coming down here, we got in town about 3 o'clock this morning, and about the last 10 miles south on 288 was really slow going because the wind was just driving through the area along with the rain, and that was knocking our vehicle kind of a little bit side to side. It was one of those things where you had to slow down way below the speed limit to keep yourself steady. So it's been a good thing to not see anybody on the road since we got to town about 3 this morning, save for those emergency vehicles that are patrolling through the area. But there's a lot of debris around. I'm certain there's going to be some street ponding in the areas. We'll be able to survey that better as the winds die down and we can get out and see for ourselves a little bit more. But right now, the dangerous things when you're out on the road is not just the rain and winds coming through, but you can't see the debris. So that's why it's also and you can't necessarily see any wood or the metal siding or the nails or anything else that can puncture a tire and leave you stranded on the side of the road. So again, it's good that everybody is staying off the streets until this passes through, but we're not getting so much of a break at this point. The winds will die down a little bit like it is now, but then they will just pick right back up. So we're going to stay in this area and keep monitoring conditions in the Lake Jackson area. We do know that in Brazoria County south of here, the town of Quintana, right on the water, they called for mandatory evacuation several hours ago for that, so that has been taken care of. We have not heard any major problems in that area. We've also been monitoring Oyster Creek, and so far have not seen any concerns over Oyster Creek levels at this time. But again, we'll stay here in the Lake Jackson area and the larger Brazoria County area until the storm passes through, and then give you an update on the conditions here once that happens, so we can get back out and about. Reporting live from Lake Jackson, Robert Arnold, KPRC 2 News.
Robert, appreciate it so much. Thank you. Be safe out there. He was talking about the winds would just kind of die down a little bit, and then wham! You get the really, really strong gusts.
But you can hear that. I mean, it sounds pretty bad. We want to go back out now to Rochelle Turner. She is in Freeport. She mentioned to us earlier that she got off the island when conditions were deteriorating. It looks like those conditions are following you, Rochelle.
Yes, and I do want to correct myself. So we were in Surfside, at Surfside Beach at that Circle K gas station. And so it was getting pretty intense out there. We lost power and that storm surge was starting to come up. So we made the smart decision to come further into town. We came across the bridge and now we are in Freeport, and we've been at this Buc-ee's gas station. And I want to show you guys kind of what we're seeing. The wind has intensified, and as we pan the camera over, we want to show you guys some damage that actually came off of the gas station. You could see it right there on the ground as we zoom in. This is some debris that came from the building. Now, we have not been able to go inside of the store and speak to one of the workers to see if they have any damage inside or if this came from the roof, but that is something that we have noticed here in the past 10 minutes since we showed you guys that giant sign. And we're also keeping an eye on the flagpole. I want to show you guys it's been shaking really bad. The wind and the rain are coming at us sideways. You guys may not be able to see it as much as we can, but from this truck, the storm tracker truck, it is just shaking just left and right. You can see it right there in our shot. It's just shaking on and off. So we're kind of keeping a close eye on that, the flagpole, the debris, and also making sure that that giant sign, that blue, doesn't come flying our way. You can see it as we zoom in right here. It was crazy when it fell because it was a loud pop and I didn't know what it was. I thought something fell on us, but it was that sign. And so we're watching it because parts of it is starting to just deteriorate from this strong wind speed. Now, I've been checking the wind speed here in the past few minutes. We're only at 46 miles per hour, but it feels so much stronger. The wind gust is 76 miles per hour. Now that feels right. And Anthony, he was mentioning in our live shot, the previous live shot, that he saw the gas pumps. They are wrapped in plastic, and we're zooming in to try to see if we can show you guys a little bit. But as we're zooming in, look at the wind and the rain on the ground. It's so hard to see it. But you can see some of that plastic from the gas pumps is kind of just flying off. So things have picked up dramatically out here in the Freeport area. And I've been watching Gage's live shot, and it's pretty cool to see him in the eye of the storm where everything is calm and quiet. And so we're not exactly sure when that's going to happen for us or when things might kind of calm down a little bit. We've been watching the radar, and it's just kind of sitting over us right now. And you can actually hear Beryl. She is whistling and shaking the truck right now. That's how strong she is. And she's just shaking the gas pumps and shaking the plastic off. We're also going to show you guys another shot. There's 3 other police cars that are sitting in this parking lot with us right here. They've been here with us all evening. They too were on the island, Amy, in Surfside, and they said it was just too dangerous. So, we're hoping once this hurricane passes through that we can go back over there and make sure that everybody is okay. But as we were leaving, we saw debris flying, we saw trash cans and porta potties, and we just made the smart move to get out of there. But certainly I will say that things have intensified here in Freeport. The wind, the rain, we can hear Beryl. She's howling. She is making her way into this area, and people are taking precaution. We've also seen some Bucky workers. They've been, kind of peeking out to make sure when that sign fell, to make sure that it wasn't anything serious. So we're going to go check in with them once it kind of passes through to see if they have any damage inside. But, we're staying safe out here. We are okay. We do have plenty of snacks and water. So we are watching you guys as you guys are talking with Anthony and Justin on air. So everybody is good out here. We're just waiting for it to kind of pass through. So that's the very latest here in Freeport. I'm Rochelle Turner, KPRC 2 News.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job staying safe, making the decision to move to a safer area and showing us those conditions right now. Again, Rochelle Turner, she is live right now in Freeport. I've kind of been trying to track because we keep telling you about power outages and that they are expected to increase. CenterPoint is now reporting 146,000 customers without power. But then I was checking Texas New Mexico Power's website because they're for all of our friends in those southern counties and areas, cities that they cover all of those. And so almost half of Angleton is without power, all of Manville, almost all of Sweeney, all of Brazoria is without power, and most of West Columbia, all of East Columbia. So all of those smaller cities in Brazoria and Galveston County, are waking up or have no power right now. And Texas New Mexico Power is saying that they're looking at power restoration. Of course, those winds still coming through, but sometime between 1:30 and 3 p.m. today.
Yeah, and that's what, we've been talking about all through the morning. Justin talking about how the northerly path of Hurricane Beryl as it heads north. Also, you can basically call that a power outage map, Justin, because 146,000 right now, but we're expecting this number to continue to climb.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we double it. Wouldn't be shocked at all at this point. And here's one of the reasons why. So this is brand new from the National Weather Service. Caroline just did inform me of this as well. This is a new flash flood warning, and notice that goes until 8 o'clock. So we're talking, it's just about 5 o'clock now. So this is going to be about for the next 3 hours, and that's all of Houston Metro. And in fact, we've got a couple of those out there. So let's jump in a little tighter on. Actually, I'm going to put this in motion first over the last hour, because I want to kind of just do a quick recap since it's the first time we've jumped on the Storm Tracker 2 live radar here in just a bit, and just give a sense of what all the reporters have been telling you and what we've been seeing out there. So right now, this is where gauge is. You remember a second ago when I said the gauge is going to start to feel the back end of this storm system get closer to him. So he's been sitting right here in the center of the eye. As he said a second ago, it's calm, it's quiet, the storm surge has backed off, but here's the backside of this storm. Now notice that it's not very big, and what he was dealing with before was all of the front edge of this. It's now starting to blast its way across some of our inland counties, but the backside of this could easily see wind gusts upwards of 60, 70, even 80 miles an hour. I wouldn't be shocked to see that. So when we talk to him next, coming up here in the 5 o'clock hours, we're just approaching 5 a.m., by the way, we'll start to see that get a little closer to him and probably start to see conditions go downhill once again. So we do still have one flash flood warning that goes until 6:45. That's over into parts of Matagorda County. You can see both of these areas here towards Wharton and El Campo. Those are aerial flood advisories until 7 a.m. Let me put a stop on the radar here just so you can see this a little better. And basically the entire area from the coast all the way into downtown right now is under some kind of either flash flood warning or aerial flood advisory. It's probably the bottom line to know about. Now, that first band that we were tracking a few, maybe 20, 30 minutes ago when we were talking with Caroline Brown, was on the south side. That has already lifted to the north side. So if you talk about some of the areas that are really getting hit pretty hard, that's Spring Valley over towards Bunker Hill Village, sliding eastward, or excuse me, westward as you get out towards Katy. We've got our own TJ Parker, Bryce Newberry, Riverwalk, Belogan out that way. We'll talk to them coming up a little later this morning as well. And then up towards 290 Jersey Village, up on the North Loop. This is really going to get checked up. Thankfully, all we've seen so far has been very light in terms of the traffic out on the road. So that's the good news. It looks like everybody's at least heeding the signs of not going out in this mess. Here's the other part too. If you notice, I have the lightning turned on. I'm going to go all the way out. And unlike yesterday when we had those outer bands coming through and was just a wall of lightning coming with it, that's not the case today. So this is mainly just heavy rain and, of course, the wind as you get down to the coast that's starting to move on through. We have been seeing some high water issues across parts of the South Loop, and our own Justina Latimer is actually putting those together right now. So when we'll get to her, we'll get an idea of exactly where those are. But this is what we're going to be looking at over the next 2 to 3 hours. I'm going to put this back into motion. And so this is for all of our friends up on the north side there as well. That includes folks up in Conroe towards parts of Montgomery County into the Woodlands. You're just now starting to see the beginning of what will likely be a very messy next 3 to 4 hours up around Huntsville. If you're up towards, let's say, Madisonville, College Station, Navasota, out towards Brenham into Washington County, sliding on out towards parts of Lee County. This is all going to expand over the next 4 to 5 hours. Same thing from Liberty County right now, probably getting fairly breezy. We're going to start to see these wind gusts get stronger and stronger. I wouldn't be shocked to see if some of these wind gusts coming in with these bands just a second ago, as we had mentioned, are going to be anywhere from around 40 to 50 miles an hour. So I'd expect to see the power outages starting to pick up as well in some of these locations. And that's where we're likely going to be not only producing more down trees, down limbs, some transformers that'll start blowing similar to what we've seen at the coast. But this is the areas in particular where we're going to start to see some of the rainfall totals pick up. And that's where we'll start to run into some street side issues in terms of the street flooding across some of the main roads as well. And not only that, but this is where we could start to see some of our creeks and bayous picking up additional heavy rainfall, and that could cause some issues as well. I'm going to get over to meteorologist Caroline Brown, who's got more details on how much rain we've seen so far with this. And Caroline, we've been talking about some of the river gauges and the bayou statuses as well that are starting to run into some hot spots as well. Take it away.
I mean, that's going to be something over the next several hours we are going to be watching so close, because throughout Southeast Texas, bayous, creeks, channels, they're everywhere. Right now, rainfall totals, you'll notice, highest down to the south. Bay City, over 6 inches of rain. Palacios, nearly 7 inches here in Houston. At least IAH, that's on the north side of town, not an inch, but we've got that rain pushing in. So 12-hour rainfall, you'll notice most of this is going to be on the south side of town. Pearland, that's where we're seeing those pink dots. That is saying extreme. Now, all of this is coming from our partnership with the Harris County Flood Control District, where you can see for our river levels right now, further inland, we're doing fine. All of the rivers that are having issues, that's going to be along the coast. Likely a lot of that is going to be factored in with the storm surge. I want to talk a bit about our channels and bayous, though, because this is something we watch incredibly close. This is our current stream status. You can look at this for your neighborhood as well and go street level. That's if you go to click2houston.com/flood tracker. But you'll notice around town, things are looking good. But then if we look down to the south, State Highway 35 down towards NASA Road 1. This is where we're starting to see some indications that flooding is likely, and some of these streams and channels, they're actually getting out of their bank. So let me show you what this looks like. This is a look at Armand Bayou at Pasadena Lake. That's right there by NASA Road 1. The top of the bank is only 6.5 feet. Current level, nearly 4 feet, but you'll notice it's been rising. In fact, right now, it's starting to crest past that flooding possible. So now this has gone into the yellow category. Thankfully, we're not seeing widespread flooding ongoing, but we're going to be getting there as we see more rainfall. So Trigger Creek at Windsong Lane, you'll notice also that is continuing to rise. This is going to be the trend, and this is something we're going to be monitoring extremely close as that rainfall comes down. Radar showing with it these tropical bands, they are producing heavy downpours, street flooding, likely ongoing throughout areas inside the loop. In fact, if we turn this on 1 hour, the heaviest of the rain, that's going to be indicated by our warmer colors. So the red, the oranges, that's where we have the blinding rainfall really pushing its way towards the north side of town. And if we turn on our storm reports, I think it's possible. I did want to give an update. We do officially have a confirmed tornado from this morning that happened at 1:57 in the morning. So it actually did happen very early. Our first confirmed tornado, they said that there was power lines down. Unfortunately, we did have damage to a home. So with all of these bands pushing through, we can get quick spin ups. That's why periodically you are going to see us check to see any rotation. You need to be taking very close attention to these radar scans, because within them, that's where we could see those tropical tornadoes. By the way, if you're curious, we can estimate wind speeds. This is going to be a little bit higher up because it's being radar estimated from our radar all the way out in League City. But this is showing wind speeds anywhere from 70 to 80 miles per hour. This is downright dangerous. This is going to turn any typical object into a projectile. Tree limbs certainly going to be going down. In fact, if we take a look at current power outages, this is a map view. So I think, at least for me, a very map-based, I think this is a little bit easier to read. Right now, down towards Matagorda County, that's where we have about 75% without power. Jackson County, 38% without power. Wharton County, over 50% without power. And then as we look over towards Brazoria County, 46. So widespread power outages. And as we go through the day, we can expect these to be pushing their way further inland. That's really going to be the trend as we continue to watch this system. So back to where we were watching our current radar, you can see those outer rain bands pushing their way onshore. Now, I do want to take a closer look at where we're watching our eye. The reason why we continue to watch the eye is because this is where we have our strongest winds. Along the eye wall is where we currently have winds sustained at 80 miles per hour, gusting even higher. We've seen wind gusts over 90 miles per hour. hour. So Bay City, you're about to see the strongest winds before you're going to get just a brief break there. Bay City also still underneath that flash flood warning there. Sweeney, Lake Jackson also underneath that warning in place through 6:45 a.m. this morning. These are going to continue to be issued. So let's continue to show you a few other areas all across Galveston. We have just continued to see heavy tropical downpours. This is going to be the case over the next several hours. In fact, if we zoom out, one rain band pushes through, the next one's already on the way. So at times you will feel little lulls. It's not going to be quite as heavy, but more rain is coming. So really all day today, the theme is going to be hunker down, stay at home, stay off the roads. Continuing to push further inland, you can see over towards Alvin and Kemah, that rain band pushing its way through. These rain bands, they're moving fast. The storm's actually moving anywhere from 45 to 50 miles per hour. And then add that to the winds ongoing. It is going to be really nasty. There's not really good words to describe what it feels like when you have the very heavy downpours and the intense winds. You can see from Mont Bellevue over towards Jersey Village, also watching that rain band advance its way to the north. So areas like Liberty, Kingwood, Bush, Spring, Cypress, you haven't seen any really heavy downpours this morning. That's going to be changing here certainly within the next 30 minutes, and then it'll continue to push its way to the north, the Woodlands, Conroe, even areas like Tomball. You're going to start to see that same rain band that's dropped 2 to 4 inches across Houston. That's going to be approaching your area really within the next 30 minutes. And this flood warning is actually a really good testament to how quickly conditions can deteriorate. You'll notice that flood warning is going to be in place until 8 o'clock a.m. this morning, because we can see more rain showers moving their way in. Now, thankfully, right now, we're not seeing any sort of rotation, but that is something we're going to continue to be monitoring for really across the area, because we have so much inherent rotation within this system. Still considered a Category 1 hurricane, made landfall at 4 a.m. You'll notice that back eye wall, it's just starting to approach the island. So Justin, the areas that are experiencing the calm of the eye, very soon they're going to get that back eye wall with sustained winds of 80 miles per hour.
Yeah, I'd be real curious to see. We talk to Ron Gage Golding here in just a bit with that. So this is what Caroline was talking about. Let's head outside and see what it looks like. This is from right here at the KPRC 2 studios. And yep, that looked like a transformer that just flashed. This is what I was talking about, that even though the coast over the next hour or so is going to start to see an improvement in their conditions, this is on our tower cam. And you see how bad that is shaking around from our Empower Pharmacy camera. And I wouldn't be shocked if we're going to start to see some of these areas here in particular. Some of these brighter lights that you're seeing may start going down as well. Power outages are going to be increasing very quickly over the next 2 to 3 hours. You see all of those flashes over on the left hand of your screen there. Those are likely transformers going down. And here are the current winds right now. East-northeast winds at around 24 miles an hour. And there is the storm. So the center of the circulation has just been moving onshore. Current wind speeds across downtown right now, about 30 miles an hour. Notice not much on the north end just yet. Y'all will get this probably within the next 4 to 5 hours. But right now, it's anywhere from Sugar Land down to Lake Jackson. You can see in Galveston, we've been talking to Rochelle Turner that's down towards Surfside. She's moved back on the mainland to be safe. Our own Conflenti was down at the convention center. Palacios still getting hammered right now with nearly 60 mile an hour sustained winds. And this is going to ride right up along parts of Fort Bend County, right outside of Katy. Not getting much of a wind right now in Katy, but believe me, you will over the next 1 to 2 hours. It's 5:11 right now. By 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I'd put your probably wind gusts upwards of 45 to 50 miles an hour. So there will be some power outages across the Katy area as well. 81 mile an hour wind gusts in Palacios. Wind gusts starting to pick up closer to about 40, 45 to 66 miles an hour, almost 80 miles an hour out towards Lake Jackson. So the entire area, as we said, is under tropical storm warnings. It's basically could be called power outage warnings all the way up across parts of Montgomery County and then moving in towards parts of Walker County as well. So I'm going to do a quick future track and then we'll send it back over to get some more live shots at what we have. But this, by 10 o'clock, center of the storm is still moving across parts of Fort Bend County and into Wharton County, likely seeing power outages out on the west side as these rain bands that Caroline was talking about start to shift off to the east just a bit. By 12 o'clock, the storm will be moving north up across our northern counties by 2, 3 o'clock. We get a bit of a breakdown at the coast as we get in towards this evening and overnight hours. And then finally, we start to see things firing once again as we get into tomorrow afternoon. We'll have to watch that very carefully because places that do lose power may not get it for a day or two. That could only add insult to injury for many areas along the coast. They're going to get lashed pretty hard. Let me send it back over to Sophia and Amy. And ladies, we'll do a quick little recap here. And I believe we've got some more folks that we need to talk to this morning.
Oh, yes, we do, Justin. Thank you. All right, we are going to check in Matagorda County here. Hurricane Beryl, we know, made landfall just before 4 o'clock this morning. We were talking about Matagorda getting hit by the north side of the eye, and then Gage kind of seeing that calm side of things, and now it's going to be really picking up.
Yeah, picking up as the back of that Hurricane Beryl comes through. So joining us live right now is Amanda Campos. She's with the Matagorda County Office of Emergency Management. So you can talk to us there. I mean, we have a reporter, Gage Golding, there in Matagorda, and it is just strangely calm right now. Is that what you're seeing there?
Yes, ma'am. It is very calm, and we are waiting for that back part of the eye at the moment.
And so what's the most immediate threat? What are you hearing? What are you seeing from residents? Or are you hearing anything?
Well, we have limited emergency services right now, lots of power outages and coastal flooding, road flooding. It's all happening at this moment right now. So I think our biggest issue is going to be electricity and gaining access to these people.
And we know talking to Gage, there's a lot of families that, have decided to kind of hunker down and see this storm through. What advice do you have for those who have decided to stick around?
Our advice is to please continue to stay home and do not leave your home to drive around once the storm has passed. Give us time to get our commissioners out and for them to check the streets and make sure everything's safe before people start driving around. And if you need help and it's a true emergency, please call 911.
And if you need help and it's a true emergency, I'm sorry, you said?
Call 911.
Absolutely. All right, Amanda Campos, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will continue to monitor conditions there as well, but right now we want to go over to Justin Stapleton, who's looking at a new warning.
Yeah, new tornado warning just dropped, Amy. In fact, this goes until 5:30, and notice that's just north of downtown across the North Loop. So this is a radar-indicated tornado warning that goes until 5:30, but if we slide this over, and what we've been looking at most of the morning is, are we seeing any rotation within this? So let's put this over the last hour and just get a sense if there's anything that we can pick up on so far. Probably right in through here at the very end of this is what we're looking at. If you look right in through here, so let me jump in a little tighter on that just to get you a better sense of what we're seeing. So this is over towards East Hardy to West Hardy Road, right outside of Kelly Street. There's 59, so we're talking about the East Tex and the North Loop. It's right outside of there's Yale Street, there's North Main, just so you can get a reference if you drive this every morning of what we're seeing. There's Hirsch Road and Bennington Road. So this is where we may be looking. And again, this is a radar indicated tornado warning, meaning that we don't have anything confirmed on the ground at this point. But earlier this morning, about 1:30, we did have some damage that has been reported and confirmed on a number of houses down near Jamaica Beach. So it do believe that we may have seen a tornado touch down briefly down on the island. So that's always an indicator here that we always say, just don't take these lightly, even if it isn't necessarily something that may be an active tornado. If it is a tornado warning, it is certainly something we're going to take very seriously at this point. So that is the active tornado warning right now. As I said, there's downtown. So this is basically Ella Boulevard. There's 249 over towards the North Loop and the East Tex, which is what we're looking at right now. So let me go back to the radar site just so you get a sense of what we're seeing And I'm going to widen this out. And we kind of figured we were going to see this because this is what we've been seeing most of the morning as these bands have come on shore, is that they continue to bring a little bit of a wrapper, sort of a whipsaw effect, if you want to think of it that way. And I'll put this in motion over the last hour. And let me take that warning off just so you get a sense of what we're seeing. And so as these bands are starting to slide in and kind of moving in and around the center of the storm, which is right here now, and notice it's really getting ragged. But if you jump in a little tighter on this, right across the center, notice that from Bay City, just south of there, we're starting to see some of that wraparound effect. And that's what the official for Matagorda County was saying just a second ago, is they're not out of the woods just yet across Matagorda County, even though that eye went right over top. And let's say folks in Sweeney and Bay City, you're saying, okay, conditions are finally improving. They're starting to slow down. That's not going to be the case over the next 30 minutes because the backside of this storm that's now lashing its way across Palacios, just to the west of Bay City, is all going to be moving its way in across the center of Matagorda County, which is still under that flash flood warning that goes until 6:45. So that'll give you an indication of the type of wind that we're going to be seeing as this moves on through. But again, just to let you know, if you're just joining us here, we do have an active tornado warning. That includes the north side here from 249 towards Ella Boulevard, sliding over across the East Tex and towards our Hirsch Road as well. So if we jump really tight in on this, get you a better sense of what we're looking at. There's Yale, there's the North Freeway, so 45 between there and the East Tex as well.
Justin, let me drive that for you here for a little bit.
Okay, thanks.
We did have a CC drop on this tornado warning. So that's actually why they did issue this tornado warning.
Okay.
This is our debris detector. So I'm going to take this back so you can see exactly why the National Weather Service did issue this.
Okay, so we may have something, they may have something that have picked something up at this point, what they were looking at. Okay, there it is, I see it. So what Caroline's looking at right now, this is called the CC indicator. It's basically a correlational coefficient, meaning that the computer looks at something that isn't necessarily either wind, hail, or let's say a raindrop, right? And so what the correlational coefficient tries to determine is there some sort of a foreign debris or substance that's getting picked up that it's starting to pick up on. Yeah, that's it right there, isn't it? So right now, this is from, what do we got? That's 5:11, that's our current time. 5:19 is our current time. So starting at about 5:05, 5:10, from Oates Prairie across Highway 90 over towards the 610 loop, there's East Houston, there's North Shadydale. So you get the idea. That warning came out, and what Caroline's looking at here is that it may have picked up some kind of debris and then deposited it north and west as it was moving on through. Yeah, and there may be something right here between Piedmont and Ella Boulevard as well. So that's still that active tornado warning that goes until, 5:30, so about the next 10 minutes. Now, the good news with these tornado warnings so far is they have been allowing these to expire as soon as they get, or even a minute or two before they get to their expiration date. However, I would not be shocked if we have this area in particular that may be seeing a little bit of damage. And this is going to be tough to tell at this point because, with the amount of heavy rain that we're seeing across the north side, there could be things on the ground. There could be debris that's been blown around between not only the heavy rain, but the wind as well. So it's just hard to say, okay, well, what came from maybe some kind of a tornado that picked it up, moved it in another direction versus, just from the storm damage itself that we've been getting from some of the winds and the heavy rain that we've seen there. And speaking of that heavy rain, that is absolutely the case. Now we're starting to see some of that heavy rain anywhere from Jersey Village on down towards I-10. So there's Katy. Katy's just now starting to get into the thick of what is likely going to be a very messy couple of hours for folks out there across parts of West Harris County, and also starting to see some of the northern end of the viewing area here pick up some pretty heavier rain as well. So anywhere from Cypress to Spring towards Bush Airport, right towards Aldine as well. So all of this is moving north and put it back in motion here. And so this first band sliding through. What's interesting about this too is that you notice we've got the lightning turned on, but we're just not picking up on any lightning so far this morning because these tropical bands, there's not a lot of, these aren't these big, huge cumulus clouds where there's 60, 70,000 feet in the air and you've got all this, lightning strikes that are going through the clouds. Similar to what we saw yesterday, this is just deep tropical moisture that's dumping an enormous amount of rain all across the area. And Caroline, this is one of those things that as we've been watching these bands come on shore here, as you said a second ago, we've been talking about some of these gauges, especially on the south side, where we've been picking up around the South Loop and the South Beltway, some high water spots. I wouldn't be shocked if we're going to start to see those pick up on the north side and then over across parts of, let's say, the greater Katy area, and even down across parts of Brazoria County and Galveston County near I-45 when we start to see some of those feeder roads run into some issues as well, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the theme of the next several hours is going to be hunker down. We've got heavy downpour ongoing, conditions only going to be deteriorating as we continue to go over the next 4 to 6 hours. So right now, the most immediate threat, of course, is going to be those damaging winds, but also this tornado warning. We said this earlier today. We're going to keep repeating it because it's 5 a.m. in the morning. We likely have folks just joining us. When it comes to tropical systems, hurricanes, tropical storms, there's a lot of inherent rotation in those outer bands. That means we expect to see more tornado warnings. We have a tornado watch until 10 a.m. this morning that will likely be extended. So if you go underneath a tornado warning, you need to head to the interior room, lowest level, as many walls between yourself and the outside as possible. You don't want any windows nearby. For most homes, that's going to be an interior laundry room, pantry, or closet. Now, if you're in an apartment building, still going to be the lowest floor interior. Oftentimes that can be a parking garage. You just want to make sure there's enough room for you, your family, and your pets. So if you're thinking, we don't have an interior closet that's clean enough, I would always recommend just clearing it out. In that case, if there is a tornado warning, you have a place to go immediately. But right now, that tornado warned area does include the Highland Heights just to the north of the Hudson Heights, continuing to push its way through extremely quick. These tornado warnings, they get issued and then they quickly drop them. But movement on these storms, that's been to the west at 45 to 50 miles per hour. So strong, quick moving system. And that's going to be the trend now through the rest of the day today. Hunker down. We cannot say that enough. You'll notice heavy downpours from Houston, Pasadena, Pearland, Clear Lake, all of these locations already underneath a flood warning because we've seen 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, an additional 1 to 3, quite frankly, anywhere between 5 to 10 inches of rain, up to 13 inches of rain, certainly going to be possible. Now, I do want to show you where we likely have our strongest wind gusts. That's going to be around the eye of the hurricane. Thankfully, now that it has pushed on shore, we will see it starting to dissipate. But right now, that eye wall trying to go through a replacement cycle, even though we've already gone onto land. So Bay City likely seeing very intense winds, that back wall of the eye currently pushing its way on shore. So when we were checking on Gage and he had that calm is going to be ending incredibly soon as that pushes its way on shore. But the good news is once it's on shore, things can start to get better. That's because we're looking at the clean side of the hurricane. So this is what we're talking about when we say dirty side, clean side. When you look at a hurricane, you're going to look at quadrants here. A big factor in this is the way that hurricanes rotate. They rotate counterclockwise. So on the left side, you're going to be seeing dry air that's been pushing over land. That means we're not seeing as much rainfall here, not as much storm surge, not as much tornado potential. Now on the right side, the dirty side, this is where most of our viewing area is. This is where you're getting air coming up from the Gulf. It is moist, it is humid, it is ripe for these storms to have that quick spin up. It's also bringing with it the most tropical moisture, which is why if you take a zoom out, you'll notice areas on the dirty side, this is where we have all of our warning on the right side of this system. So we're going to keep tracking as it likely brings more flood warnings, more tornado warnings. A closer look, if we zoom in, that tornado warning still in place to the south of Bush. And by the way, Bush Airport about to get some really heavy downpours pushing its way in. Keep in mind, if you haven't seen them yet, if your area is further towards the north, we're talking Cypress, Spring, Woodlands, Tomball, Conroe. You are not in the clear. You have a heavy rain band pushing in your direction. We cannot urge you enough. Stay home. These are These are producing gusty winds over towards Hobby Airport. We were seeing consistent wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. That is no joke. That will damage trees. That can quickly create projectiles as well. So right now on radar, you can see heavy downpours pushing their way on shore. And another thing to note with these rain bands, they're creating a fetch, meaning with them, we've got winds pushing on shore, waves out here in the Gulf around 10 to 13 feet. So a big pile of water being pushed onto the shore. That's what we call our storm surge. And that's what we can be expecting to see, unfortunately, really picking up over the next 2 hours. And over the next 2 hours, we're also going to be approaching high tide. In Galveston, we're expecting high tide to be happening around 7:33 in the morning, which means the storm surge, quite frankly, coming at the worst possible time. Now, I do quickly want to show you what it's looking like outside. Our camera is shaking here. This is our Empower Pharmacy camera. It is shaking, heavy downpours. Justin, a really good testament that it's not just rain, but really intense winds within all of these showers.
Yeah, not only the intense winds, but obviously we still have that tornado warning that is active for the next few minutes. It's 5:27. This goes until 5:30. As we said, I'm going to back this up the last hour and just get you a sense of what we're seeing. And this is what Caroline was just talking about. It's these bands that are sliding on through, and they're creating a little bit of a spin or a whipsaw type effect from that. We'll watch to see this particular, if there is any damage reported from that. Right now, I have not seen anything from the National Weather Service or certainly from Harris County constables or deputies. But if we see it, we'll pass it along for sure. But right now, we do still have that tornado warning that's active until 5:30. So this is the spot in particular. If you jump in a little tight where that is, my guess is if we're getting any kind of rotation, it's probably over here at this point. So it's basically from Highland Heights, there's Ella Boulevard, there's Yale Street, there's the North Freeway. So if you know where Ella slides all the way up into the Heights, and then same thing as you go from 45 on over towards Veteran Memorial Drive up to 249. So Bluebell Road, westbound Houston, and then of course West Montgomery Road. So all of those intersections right in across that area towards Little York. That may be the spot. If there's anything out there, that may be what we're looking at. I can tell you in particular that we've been seeing a lot of problems starting to pop up. I've actually been looking at some of the Houston TranStar cameras that are on Justina Latimer's working on right now, and there are some issues that are starting to crop up as we figured we would see at 5:30 this morning. A lot of folks have heeded the advice to not get out on the roads. We appreciate that. If you're just joining us now, we're just approaching the 5:30 time frame here in the 5 o'clock hour. If you don't have to go anywhere, please don't. Just stay put over the next 4 to 5 hours. Expect this storm to be out of here by about 2, 3 o'clock today. Probably going to be assessing some power outage issues. We're over 200,000 now, I believe at the last count that I saw from CenterPoint. As I expected, those numbers will continue to go up. But again, just a quick recap as we get towards 5:30 here. We have one active tornado warning that goes until 5:30. So we'll see if they extend that in the next 15 seconds here or not, or if they do allow that to expire. If so, my guess is some of the circulation that we were getting from that has probably tried to slide over towards 249 in Jersey Village here at this point. And in fact, let's jump over to the velocity real quick just to see if there's anything that we can pick up on. And I'm just not seeing anything so far, but certainly doesn't mean that there wasn't at one time as this storm was getting closer, some of these bands were sliding across the area. And so that is what we've been tracking over the last 20, 25 minutes or so is a potential for, is there any sort of what Caroline was showing you a few minutes ago is called the correlational coefficient, meaning is there any debris, anything that's being picked up by that storm and is expected at 5:30 here, they allowed that to expire. So that's certainly good news. Now, let's go back over to the radar just so you can get a sense of what we're seeing for some of this heavy rain. And two areas of interest that we're watching very particular as we go into the back half of the 5 o'clock hour here. We have that flash flood warning that does include all of Houston Metro that goes until 8 o'clock this morning. Still have a flash flood warning down towards Matagorda till 6:45. And a second ago, as Caroline said, the eye itself is now starting to move onshore. So if we jump in a little tighter on this, let me back up just a bit so you can get a better sense of what we're seeing. And I'm going to put this into motion here over the last hour. When we talked to our own Gage Goulding that was down there in Matagorda Bay, probably, I want to say it was about an hour or so, maybe about 45 minutes ago now, he was under mostly calm calm conditions. He was in the eye of the actual hurricane itself. The eye is starting to fall apart just a bit. The center of it now, ragged as it is now moving just east of Bay City, and the backside of that storm is starting to pick up with more intensity. We could easily see wind starting to slide up closer to 50, 60, maybe even 70 miles an hour once again, and some more of that water is going to be pushed closer to the coastline. So by the next time we talk to Gage, I guarantee you that his live shot is going to look very different than it was when we talked to him last. Meanwhile, still looking at some very messy conditions across much of the coastline. That includes Galveston down to Freeport, where we saw wind gusts upwards of almost 90 miles an hour in Freeport, for example, west end of the island, where we had our own Robert Arnold, who's over in Lake Jackson, and then, of course, Mario Diaz, who is in Jamaica Beach. He and his photojournalist as well, Roger Franco, that have been trying to get out of some of that heavy rain. Right now, it's basically Jamaica Beach all the way up to the east end of the island, really getting pounded and socked with heavy, heavy rain. And in fact, if you look at that, I would say some of the rainfall totals that we're getting from this, could be upwards of just a couple of inches of rain per hour. I would not be shocked to see that. And that's going to just compound some of these effects. And in fact, my guess is that we will likely see this area in particular fill in. So between Lake Jackson, Freeport, on up to the west end of the island, will probably start to become our new flash flood warning. I wouldn't be shocked to see that. And we will probably see this flash flood warning that now currently goes from Katy, Cypress, Sugar Land into Metro Houston start to extend north and westward. What's interesting, though, is you notice some of these outer bands that we were watching earlier that were a little more concentrated getting into the start of the morning here about 2:30, 3 o'clock have really kind of fallen apart or dissipated. Now, yes, still going to make roads very messy. The wind is still going to be an issue, but I don't think that we're going to see some of the heavier rain here across the north side, at least for the next 1 to 2 hours. Now, as the storm starts to move north by about 10, 11 a.m., that'll be the case. But my biggest area of concern right now is probably most of Houston Metro from Katy over to Clear Lake on down towards Galveston. Can't stress enough. Right now, I think the middle part, west end of the island towards Jamaica Beach, Carolina, is where we're probably going to see some flood issues get compounded very quickly in the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes.
Absolutely. And I want to talk a bit about the winds too, because this is a big factor. As this system pushes its way further inland, we're going to see our winds here in Houston really increase. And not just here in Houston, even further inland. So when we're talking about power outages and they're all along the coast, if you're living north of I-10, don't think you're lucky, because you're going to see the same winds and the same risk of losing power. So wind speeds currently 32 miles per hour here in Houston, 24 in Sugar Land, Palacios seeing the highest at 57 sustained, but wind gusts already here in Houston, seeing a wind gust of 60 miles per hour. El Campo seeing a 70 mile per hour wind gust. These certainly can snap trees. That means power outages. In fact, speaking of power outages, this is what we consider our unofficial power outage map. These are our tropical alerts. We've got tropical storm warnings and hurricane warnings. These are the areas where we can see hurricane force winds and tropical storm force winds. And that means it's going to be likely as we go through the next 8 hours here. In fact, I want to show you, this is not going to be all day. As we go to 10 a.m., the center of the circulation passing through Katy and then continuing towards the north, you'll notice the heaviest of the downpours now shifting up by 3 o'clock. And by 9 o'clock, a lot of this is moved out, but guys, we can still see more into the afternoon tomorrow. But the biggest threat right now is going to be the heavy downpours and the winds. Sophia, Amy?
All right. Thank you, Caroline.
Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, I'm Haley Hernandez in for Sophia. She's taking a break since she's been here all night. But we are going to get right over to Gage Golding, who is in Matagorda. And Gage, from what we hear, you're starting to see a lot of high winds in the area?
Yeah. I want to come over immediately and show you right over here. Let's show you what the current situation is out here. And we're leaking water on all sides at this point. But take a look out here right now. You can see storm surge values are still not there, but the wind is starting to pick up. And it's before it was coming in this way. We're going to do a little swaparoo 180 here. And this is where it's coming in now is we actually have leaks on this side now, water coming in, and there's no light over here. But the force, I mean, if I just open this door, it's actually deadbolted and locked because the force of the wind was, I mean, listen. That's the air coming through the cracks in the door. That's how powerful this is. And it really turned on. We were actually out driving around, and that all of a sudden, bam, it just immediately, it kind of just hit us all at once there. But as we were driving, we got about a quarter mile towards the Gulf of Mexico, down towards the beach, and ran into this giant tree that was blocking the entire roadway. We tried to use the winch on our vehicle to try to move it out of the way and do what we could with it, but there's nothing that we can do. And hey, our dancing tree is back. I don't know, Oscar, did you feel that? The house is moving again. So we had a nice little reprieve for about an hour and a half, but as you can see here, the tree is, our plants are moving once again, and that's just an example of, we never use this. We set this up, but we never use this. Can we zoom in on the cup of water here? And you can kind of just, the vibrations there just shows you how much the house is moving back and forth, back and forth. It's not as strong as it was on the way in, but it is strong. And I don't think we're leaking here, but can you see the water over here? Can you see the water coming in there? There's definitely water coming in because I can hear it kind of dripping in, if you will. So it is, look at that. You can even see it's blowing through. There must be cracks in the window or something, but it's blowing through and coming through. So yeah, I mean, this is still a very windy situation out here. We're getting that back end, and it does. It comes from the otother side. That's the best way to explain it. Is we were getting it from the east side. Now it's coming from the west. So batten down all hatches. Man, do you hear that? Do you guys hear that back in the studio for real? Do you hear that?
You can hear the wind. I mean, and I know, and you were out there earlier, and I know you've got no power. Were you seeing water come in earlier like that on the front side of the storm before the eye? Were you seeing?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay, all right. I wasn't.
Oh yeah.
At that time.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. No, you're good. You're good. Let's flop around here. We're in tight quarters. But whenever we and it happened so quick. We were just talking about it. We didn't have the truck powered on because we didn't know how much water we were going to get, and we weren't going to have a truck float down the road with the keys in it, running for somebody to go pick up. But yeah, by the time, we were doing every half hour, we were doing storm surge checks just to check and see where's it at, what's going on. There's a lot of planning that goes, into being out here and making sure that we're doing this as safe as possible. Within one of those checks, and in between all these live hits too, we were doing every half hour on the half hour, and then in between, doing stuff like this, you're looking, you're checking, you're seeing, and then all of a sudden we walk over there and hey, the road's underwater, and then hey, half the truck's underwater. So yeah, it came in quick. But what I'm interested to see, so this is the bay down this way, Gulf of Mexico down this way, the river is that way, Colorado River. So I'm eager to see if it is less of a storm surge effect or if it's just as strong. I don't know if any of the meteorologists will be able to weigh in for specifically where we are on Beach Road here on Matagorda, but I wonder if it's just as strong. Are we going to see more wind versus storm surge? So I think it'll be interesting to see. So that's something that I'm interested in because remember, everything's reversed now.
Yeah,
so
right.
We got something to see.
I know, and Justin and Caroline aren't sitting right here with us to answer that question, but we'll make sure we get that answer and check back in with you, Gage. His question was just asking if he thinks that we're going to see more storm surge. Repeat that, Gage. Justin.
Yeah, sorry, Gage. Go ahead. Give me that again.
The other side now.
No, you're good. So, on the incoming of the eye, we saw a storm surge coming from the Gulf and the Bay, pushing across the road from kind of an east to west, if you will.
Yeah.
And I'm eager to see if, now that the wind's coming from the west to the east, coming this way, opposite, I wonder if we're going to see as much storm surge, pushing from the Colorado River underneath the house into the Bay over here. And we have that camera on the truck. I'm not sure if you can pull that source up, source N, live UN. There's a camera mounted on the front bumper of the truck that would give you a good perspective of what the conditions are like out there right now. But I'm just eager to see if we'll see the same storm surge, worse, better. I don't know.
I don't think it'll be, and this is just a puncher's guess here at this point. I don't think it'll be as bad because you're talking about going from a smaller area where the water was being pushed to the Colorado River back out to the Bay or out to the Gulf of Mexico versus the Gulf just shoving everything right at you.
Yeah.
So I would say yes, there will be some, but I don't think it'll look like what you guys were showing us at 3 o'clock this morning when it was going right up the steps and getting a little too close for comfort for I think all of us watching here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, Gage. Thank
that's
you.
good to hear, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, stay safe out there, Gage.
And we are.
Thanks. We'll check in with you shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Owen has been at the Galveston Convention and Visitors Bureau that's right there at the San Luis Hotel.
Yep.
If I'm looking at this right, it's like 96 miles away. I didn't know it was that far from Matagorda, but you can see he's there in Galveston. We want
Right.
to check in with him right now to see what conditions are looking like right there. Hey, Owen.
Hey guys, you hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. This is definitively the worst of the conditions that we've had all night. I mean, we've been here since about 2 in the morning, just a little bit of debris. I mean, we're really hunkered down in the front of the convention center. So we've got a roof over our head right here, even despite the fact that I'm getting poured on. We actually have a roof over our head and a live truck that's defending us from the wind just a little bit. Okay, but I'll step out just to kind of show you what's happening. These trees have been blowing crazy all night. I will say that the wind has certainly shifted. I wouldn't venture a guess at which direction. I did check the seawall a little bit earlier. I know we're not at high tide yet, but I can tell you that the tide is reaching the steps that you take down to the beach. I went almost down to that last step, and the tide was coming up. We've definitely seen, if you just saw right now, a flash of blue light. We've seen a number of those, blue and green, big flashes, and then every now and then all of the street lights will go out. I'm going to walk back up here and take cover.
Yeah, probably.
It's that sideways wind, guys. You know it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like needles in the face. I'm going to get up here, though.
Hey, Owen,
Turn my back to it. These trees are blowing around. I don't want any of these branches to hit me, so we're going to stand over here. Talk to me, Stapes. What you got?
Yeah, get up there and get safe. So high tide's about 2 hours away from you right now. So I'll be real curious when we talk to you, let's say right before 8 o'clock as we get to high tide, if you're not seeing some splash over top of those steps going down onto the beach.
Absolutely. And as the sun comes up, I'll get a better look at it. And now that I'm already soaked, I might as well walk over and check it out, to be honest with you. We got time. I mean, you guys do what you want if you got to go. But let me take this mic and see how far I can get over there.
Yeah, we'll follow you.
Please take a look at it for me.
Okay.
You're headed over there. I mean, I am surprised. I know you said those lights have been flashing. I'm surprised that you still have power there. I mean, we're looking at 316,000 customers without power across the Center Point area, and then where Gage was, no power. Okay, I'll be quiet and let you show us what you're seeing or tell us what you're seeing.
Okay, I've just, oh yeah, we got some splashes coming up to the seawall. We got a little bit of that spray coming over. I want to take you to this bus stop. Hang on a sec.
Okay.
Let me get over here. Okay, I'm under a bus stop, so you heard the wind went away, right? So you can hear me better.
Yeah.
There was a person over here sitting under this. I don't even know what this is. A blanket. Old jacket or something. Somebody was sitting out here till about, Giovanni, 3:30 this morning, and a couple Galveston PD came by. We were actually live on the air when they were here, and they spun a U-turn and they jumped out, and they got this person in the SUV and brought him to safety, presumably. This is, I guess if you don't have shelter, this is better than nothing, and the wind, coincidentally, you're actually protected by this bus stop from the wind. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, but not where you want to spend the night for sure.
No.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So they took that person somewhere to safety. The power question was an interesting one because of the lights will flicker. And I'm talking all the street lights, all the lights in the Kroger parking lot over here would just cut out for a second and then pop back on. So I don't know if these are generators. I don't know if this is a transformer. You guys know I'm pretty good at electric, but I'm no electrician. But hey, there's been nobody out. I haven't seen a car in probably 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And I can tell you definitively this is the worst we have seen. These winds are nonstop.
Yeah.
They are sideways, and we're definitely seeing the spray come off the top of the seawall.
Yeah. Well,
That's
Owen,
good, guys. This is getting good.
Yeah, I bet. Well, you're in the worst of it right now because we've got the box and box with you with the Storm Tracker 2 live radar, and I can see your location just went under a flash flood warning, so that now includes the entire island through this morning. I'll get details on that in just a second. But there's also a real heavy fetch that's headed in your direction probably within the next 20 minutes or so. So the wind is going to continue at this kind of sustained speed but we're going to start to see some of that heavier rain pick up as well. When we get a chance to talk to you closer to sunrise, if you get a chance, head back over to the beach there, and I want to see if you can do it for me. Let me know what the dune status is, because they were trashed pretty good during Alberto, and I'd be curious if you're already seeing the surf and the spray get up to the top of those steps, then they're gonna be probably wrecked over.
We're gonna stand right here by the truck where I can hear you better. Absolutely.
Okay.
No, we'll definitely take a stroll back over as soon as daylight comes and monitor these conditions. Hopefully we'll catch a break. You know, it's one of those things, right, with the outer bands. I was looking at your radar earlier. I mean, off by a few miles, you could be catching a break, essentially, from some of the rain.
Exactly. Well, unfortunately, you're not. You're right in the middle of it right now, my friend.
Yeah.
That's right. It is what it is.
Right. You guys stay safe. And just so that people know, Giovanni, the photojournalist who's with him, I mean, if he goes out from under that cover, a lot of times, I mean, the camera's going to be red.
It's
so that's
gone.
why
Technology won't
It's got to stay.
on Owen from where he is.
Those cameras are tough, but they're not impervious.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so is
seawater.
Owen, but so
That's true. Good point.
But and then hopefully, as daylight comes, we'll be able to see a lot.
Yeah, real curious to see what it looks like there with the seawall and just how much lashing has happened at that point.
Right.
So Mario Diaz is also in Galveston right now on the west end. So let's take a do we have Mario?
There he is.
Yeah, you were at the west end earlier.
Good morning. Yeah, we moved about an hour ago because the west end, if you recall, during our previous hit, had numerous transformers that started blowing up right around us at this complex that we were at, right past San Luis Pass on the east side of the San Luis Pass. We were right there, and it was at that point when we just said, you know what, and everybody who was saying, who saw it back at the station was like, it's enough, you guys need to get out of there. We made that trek, and it was a long, difficult trek. It was about 45 minutes, and that's when we saw intense wind and water splashing up as well near the seawall area when it connects here in Galveston. But then you can look at now, and here we have the wind just blowing down 61st Street, and we've had it going here a lot stronger here for several minutes than what you're seeing right now. And it's a testament to what Justin was saying about these winds picking up here in the area. Now, where I'm standing right now is at a Waffle House that's located, it's the only one on the island. And we're here because if you understand how hurricanes truly work with regards to a Waffle House, there is something called a Waffle House Index. It was created by Craig Fugate. He was a former FEMA administrator, and it happened after a pair of tornadoes back in 2011. But what he made very clear was that after every time there was a significant storm, they'd always notice the Waffle House was open. So they were able to decide and decipher how challenged the community was overall, whether or not a Waffle House was closed or open. Well, guess what? We walked in here literally about 35 minutes ago. They were open. I go to get a cup of coffee, and as I'm paying for my cup of coffee, the power goes. So right now you got several employees in there, very kind people, very nice group, but they're closed right now here at the Waffle House. That's an indicator that, of course, you're going to have when you look at what's going on here on Galveston Island. Oh, there goes another transformer over there. And that's what we've been seeing here the entire time since we've been here. Just ramp up our transformers going left and right, lighting up that sky with that turquoise color. But that's the very latest here on 61st Street. The winds continuing to just barrel throughout the island, and we anticipate this to happen for several more hours. I'm Mario Diaz, KPRC 2 News. Back to you.
All right, that's at 61st in Galveston. Now we're going to get an update from Justin.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in fact, for folks that were there, just noticed that they just got a quick update. If you happen to notice that your phone went off and you're just joining us, here's what I want to give you an update on right now. This first flash flood warning that you see across the metro area, this is under what they've been calling life-threatening situations. So they are asking everyone to absolutely please hunker down. Do not leave if you do not have to leave. And you notice that this extends all the way from Katy, from Fulshear down to Rosenberg, Pleak, Sugar Land, Mission Bend. I mean, this will give you an indication of just how nasty the weather conditions are. We've been seeing upwards of 2 to 3 inches per hour. That is why the roads have begun to flood from Aldine. North side, we had a tornado warning that skipped its way from the East Tex over towards 45 about 30 minutes, or about 20 minutes ago now. At 5:30 that expired. But this entire area, that's under a flash flood warning, and that flash flood warning goes until 9 o'clock this morning. So we're talking about, this isn't one of those where it's just going to be the next 30 minutes. This is going to be the next 3 hours, maybe longer than that, depending on how fast all of this rain moves on out of here. So let me back this out, because this is just one of 3 different areas that are under flash flood warnings. There's the center of the storm right there. The eye is really kind of falling apart. You saw Gage a second ago down here in Matagorda, where the conditions are starting to fall apart for him as well. And you saw maybe an hour and a half ago when he was standing outside, we could hear him perfectly. There was no wind. They had to move back inside the house. The house was starting to sway once again as the backside of the storm system is now moving on shore. So let me show you that over the last hour, just to get you a sense of what we're seeing. And this is what we figured we were going to see as it came on shore. Beryl, that did make landfall near Matagorda Bay right at about 5 o'clock this morning local time. So these bands, and you saw Owen a second ago, this band in particular right here, and you see where there's some lightning strikes within that. So what does that tell me? That tells me that this band is intensifying, okay? And so that means that the cloud tops are getting bigger if it's getting to the point where we can create lightning within those. So that means that not only the rain potential for that is going to get a lot heavier, but this could also create more of a storm surge effect, and the wind will really start to lash. So all of these areas in the flashing red are flash flood warnings. These are ongoing flash flood warnings, including up on the area right across much of the metro. This is the one a second ago. Caroline and I were just talking about this. National Weather Service had said this is a life-threatening event for people that will be out in this. We want to make sure that everyone is safe. You saw that tornado warning that was there for about 40 minutes or so and then expired. But now the heaviest of this first band breaking up just a bit, which is certainly good news. It's starting to move up towards Cypress, outside of Katy, moving over to Sealy, heads up towards Belleville and Hempstead. If you're in those areas, this is going to be on your doorstep probably within the next 30 to 45 minutes. There's from Spring to Bush Airport, Aldine. We talked about the problems with the airports. All the morning flights, I guarantee, have been canceled. Today's not going to be a day to try to get out. That won't be the case. Yeah.
They're all canceled.
Okay, so there we go. Caroline said she just confirmed everything is canceled at this point. So if you're here in Houston, welcome to stay another day. Tuesday, I promise we'll be able to get you out. But that said, this area here right in between, and I mentioned this about 20 minutes ago that I said I think they're probably going to put a flash flood warning, and this is the latest flash flood warning. Notice that was replaced from an aerial flood advisory, and that goes until 8:30 in the morning. And so that includes all of Galveston Island. Of course, this was the first one that we saw early this morning. That goes until 6:45. I wouldn't be shocked if they let that expire at 6:45, because the storm itself will have lifted northward, and the backside of that that's now starting to lash down toward Gauges, of course, parts of, Palacios, Bay City, as you get down towards Sweeney, and then right outside of Sweeney over to Matagorda Bay, that's going to start improving here in just a bit. Now, the issue with that is that now that we're seeing some of the heaviest rain get closer to the metro area, as you might expect, we're running into some issues with some of the street flooding as well. That's one of the reasons why that flash flooding is out there across not only Jersey Village, but all of downtown as well. So let me put a stop on this here and jump in just a little tighter on this, because I want to give you a better sense of still what we're seeing from Fulshear, Katy, Mission Bend, Sugar Land, Bel Air. If I'm reading any of these names, if this is in your area, you are under this life-threatening flash flood right now. I want to go over to Caroline real quick, and let's talk about how much rain we've seen with this, and that's the reason why they put that out. And then let's jump over to Justina Latimer, because she has got our first look at what's happening on the roads as well. Caroline, take it away.
Quickly, I do want to show you, because we've been tracking those channel statuses. Those are quickly all going yellow. No surprise, rainfall totals, Pearland over 4 inches. This is 24 hours. So we are counting our rain bands from Beryl yesterday. Highest are still going to be well to our south, but it is going to be increasing as it goes to the north. Angleton over 4 inches as well. You can see almost 4.5, but if we zoom out, then you can see areas like Palacios, nearly 7 inches. Bay City, 20 miles from the coast there, over 6 inches of rain. So this is what I wanted to show you, our channel stream statuses. Our bayous have been deteriorating, and this is going to be the trend. You'll notice further towards the south by NASA Road 1, we've got red. That means flooding is likely and ongoing. A lot of these channels, they're still doing okay, especially around the Houston area, but you'll notice we're starting to see a lot of them turn yellow. That's because the water is coming down, and we've also got the surge coming in. So, for example, this is Briar Branch at Campbell Road. That's on the west side of town. And as of now, it is still rising. It's still within the banks, but look at this cross section. It is right there at the banks. More rainfall is coming down. Justina, this means we're going to see this flood outside of the banks, and flooded roads are likely as well.
Yeah, that's right. Flooded roads indeed. So take a look. The Southwest Freeway just at Dunlavy. Look at that water on the side of the roadway. That area completely closed off because of that high water. So we'll take it to the map so you guys can see what we're working with when it comes to some of those flooding areas. I know within the past half an hour, Sugar Land, Friendswood, Pearland were all areas for potential flooding, but now a lot of those locations are moving inside of the loop. So West U with one of them. Taking a look at some of those high water spots, if you do have to head out, we did have one just at Alameda Genoa. So on the Beltway, Alameda Genoa, if you're traveling in those westbound lanes. And then we also had some other ones if you're traveling just at the Beltway at the West Park, an exit ramp is also blocked off in that area. I just want to leave you with a few tips this morning. If you are heading out and you do have to head out, of course, try to stay off the roads. If you can't, make sure you guys are turning on your headlights, avoid using your cruise control, and then slow down to avoid hydroplaning this morning. Make sure you do not slam on the brakes if you are hydroplaning, and keep a safe distance. We always recommend doubling your stopping distance if you have another car in front of you. We have a lot of flooding happening, so I'm going to keep you guys updated on the latest when it comes to the roadways and the accidents that we are starting to see pop up. All right, thank you, Justina. And if you have been watching us, you know we have been on the air all night, all through the morning, and we've mostly focused on the coast where we saw Beryl come ashore and where we've seen the impacts there with the rain and the wind. But now we're also seeing those strong winds and the rain closer into Houston. We've got you covered there as well.
Yeah, as we see it moving in, we're seeing more ponding on the road, like Justina just mentioned. TJ Parker has been in Sugar Land all morning and is there to give us a live look right now. Good morning, TJ.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, we've been anticipating the big impacts of Beryl to make its way here to the metro area. We're in Sugar Land right now. Just to give you kind of an idea where we are here in Sugar Land, that is Highway 59 behind us here. We're just north of Crab River Road. We're off of the feeder here in a safe spot at this strip center. But if you can hear, the rain and the wind is coming down, and that's basically the story right now and has been for the past few hours. Also worth mentioning, we're talking about power outages all morning long as well, and the power here at the strip center went out about 45 minutes or so, I would say. But if you can kind of see the silhouette of the trees that are along the freeway there, they're kind of blowing in the wind. Again, it's hard to tell because all of the power is out besides the HEB that is across on the other side of the freeway there. But you can really tell from the light off of our camera that the rain, the wind is pushing the rain here. So we are definitely seeing some consistent rain, some heavy winds, as well as gusty winds as well. We are also keeping tabs on what the city of Sugar Land is doing. We know that the Emergency Operations Center is in full effect right now with city workers doing 12 on, 12 off shifts. So, of course, we're keeping a close eye monitoring what's going on with Beryl as it makes its way here into the Sugar Land area. But again, the power is out here. We're going to continue to monitor the conditions here in Sugar Land, guys. But right now it's just raining and a lot of wind. We'll send it back to you.
All right, well, we know what's headed your way, TJ, and same with Bryce Newberry. He is in Katy right now, so we know that this is going a little more inland right now. And Bryce, I'm seeing from your updates that there's a lot of power outages in that area.
Yeah, the city of Katy, Haley, posting just a while ago that they are starting to deal with some power outages. And I can tell you from where we are right now, just as we were waiting to talk with you, we saw that blue and green flash and then heard a big explosion. So we can hear those transformers starting to deal with some of the impacts of Beryl. But you can see really the gusts of wind coming through here and the rain just smacking into the back of us. I mean, right here on the ground, you can see we're starting to have some of that ponding, just a small amount right here, but it continues out into the road. And the number one message this morning from emergency management officials here in Katy, you can see that car going through right now, just to give you a sense of what the roads are like. And again, this is Mason Road near Kingsland Boulevard where we are right now. But the message from emergency management officials here in Katy this morning is really to stay off the roads. That is for your own safety, but also for the safety of first responders. You can see that there's already some flooding that is starting to occur on these roads. So also, if you're dealing with any power outages, the number one thing that Katy leaders are telling people to do this morning is to just report that to CenterPoint. And of course, if you come across any of those down lines, the message is to steer clear of those. Haley and Amy?
Yeah, very good advice. Thank you so much, Bryson. You stay safe out there as these bands continue to move in.
Yeah.
We'll check back in with you in just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we know that this thing came into the Matagorda area around 4 a.m. this morning. That's where Gage has been reporting. So, Gage, we see that in Sugar Land and in Katy, they're starting to get whips of wind and rain. What are you seeing still in Matagorda? Sounds like it's bad there, Gage. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah, we are outside. I told you this is the deck that was offering Oscar the protection earlier, but now it's the reverse. And it is quite nasty. As you can see, no dramatics here. This is raw wind. I mean, it's like nails being just thrown at you at 100 miles an hour. I'm going to try to run my anemometer out here and give you a wind speed. Wow! Is that some wicked wind? Out here, like I said, that's the east way now. Probably just my foot flapping at this point. But one thing we noticed, we weren't sure the first time around what
It's really challenging to hear Gage right now. We know that he's probably stepped outside at the location that he's at. His photographer is staying inside to protect the equipment. So, Gage, we can't really hear you on the microphone. Are you able to come back in? And we'll see if we can hear you a little bit better.
We're going to try to get in. We'll try to get in.
Yeah, even just right there is better.
Yeah, it's better now.
Gage, I think as you're making your way inside, I think we can hear you now. Outside, we could barely hear you, but I think you said something about using your anemometer, your wind gauge, rather. And did you say it was registering something like 100 miles an hour?
I want to take it out here and get you a measurement, but if I open this door, you're going to see how powerful this is. Watch. I want you to watch this. And I'm 6'3", like 200 pounds. Okay.
Yeah, be careful.
I want you to, as soon as we open this here, I mean, I have to lean into it. I mean, it's just the gusts of wind that will come and open it.
Yeah.
I'm leaning into it.
Is that the worst you've seen it?
On this end, yeah, for sure. On this end, absolutely. Oh, yeah, to lock it, that's the task. Let me grab the anemometer and go out there. You might not be able to hear me that well, but I'll give you what I got.
You can come back
that's a task. Oscar, you're gonna have to. Yes. You're gonna have to help me here. I'm gonna run out here and
if it's safe.
give you a quick. Let's go ahead. We're going to put the camera up on the tripod there. That way, Oscar is our photojournalist is not only shooting this story, but he's going to be able to trap me out and then let me back in.
I think that's a good idea.
So let's go ahead and get something like that. Give us 1 second here. I know we're eating up a little bit of time, but
as you guys are getting that ready, just kind of recapping for people, reminding that Gage has been out there in Matagorda all morning long, and you saw the wind and the rain well before 4, but 4 a.m. around 4 a.m. is when Beryl made landfall there in Matagorda. So he's outside. He's had this wind gauge all morning, sort of tracking how intense and how strong the winds had gotten. You can tell just by seeing him and the difficulty standing. and his jacket blowing that it's strong wind, but he'll give us an idea.
Which is crazy because what was it, like an hour ago, he was in the eye of the storm with absolutely nothing out there. And now, Justin, I think Caroline said earlier that they were going to expect 80 to 100-mile-an-hour winds on the other side of the eye.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by this at all. I mean, that's why I wanted to go to Gage when he was in the eye to show folks the difference. And then when I said, the next time we see you, this is going to look like this again. Because he's on the backside of this now, right?
Right.
At this point. Yeah, we got you. We got you, Gage.
I'm not sure if you guys can still hear me here. We're going to
we can hear you.
flip this around and give you a look here if you're still with us.
Yeah.
This is, and the wind is blowing every which way here, but we're registering 44.5 miles per hour, but I'm not necessarily sure because the wind has to travel through this device at a certain way in order to register that, I guess, the speed. And if it goes another way, then you don't necessarily get the true value.
Right.
So it's difficult to tell you if that was an accurate reading or not, because remember, there's wind wrapping around going every which way, so wind could be blowing against the propellers in there, going with it. So I would say this was some of the stronger wind that we saw. So 44.5 miles an hour was a max gust there, but I just don't necessarily know if I truly believe that, just based off how strong that was.
Yeah, I mean, what it felt like before.
Right.
And we are getting
no reason to believe it won't be similar to that as well. All right.
Right.
Gage, you stay safe out there. Keep reporting back as well. We'll check back with you in just a bit. I want to give a quick update, guys. If you could take Links 3 live for me, please. I want to show some of the wind gusts and the winds that we're seeing out here too, because this is starting to turn into a story for some of the inland areas where we're starting to pick up, as you mentioned, Amy, some of those wind damages that we're seeing, the power outages that are starting to pick up here as well. And look at that down in Palacios. So basically, just to the north of where Gage is, that's a wind speed. That's a current wind speed of a sustained wind. So think of like 60 mile an hour if you're driving in the car, right? You're kind of rolling onto Katy.
Yeah.
No, but that's current wind speed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're driving, you might feel a gust. And right now,
that is what the wind is doing constantly over the next 10 to 15 seconds. A huge difference, right? So that's just the actual wind speeds. Then as you go towards the wind gusts, look at that. We're talking anywhere from around, look at Bay City. You want to know where the eye is?
Yeah.
18. You've got 81 in Palacios, 18 in Bay City.
Yeah.
Right?
But Justin, so very calm there now because they're in the eye.
Right.
So where is this going? Like, who's going to get it bad next?
I would put it this point. I just talked to Daniela Guzman, and she said at her house, she's like, "This is insane. Are we under tornado warning?" And I said, "No, you're just under a rain ban, man."
In it.
I was like, "Write it out, because this is it." So I think Sugar Land, Fort Bend County, Katy, if you're around Cinco Ranch, or if you're Cross Creek Ranch, right off of like FM 1093, all those subdivisions out there. If you're watching us right now in those areas, the wind is going to start picking up in the next 30 minutes, and it is going to get nasty.
Yeah.
So be ready. I mentioned this to a number of friends out there. If you're on the north side, if you're up north of Katy, or if you're up into Montgomery County, if it was trash day today, it's probably not going to do pickup. Bring those bins inside, or you're going to be chasing them at this point.
Right.
So you're looking at anywhere from, these are current wind gusts, Haley, to your point. So downtown right now, we're getting 53 mile an hour wind gusts. Katy's at 24, Sugar Land at 40, El Campo's at 60, and Palacios on the backside, that's the backside of the eye now at this point, is getting 80 to probably 90 mile an hour wind gusts. So I think Gage is, when he said 44, I'm like double that. It's probably closer to 85 what he's seeing, at least.
And he was under something.
He was under something too, right?
Which is affecting.
Would certainly help. But, we saw Owen a second ago when he's out over at the convention center at the seawall there. It's now getting 67 mile an hour wind gusts. So my guess is some of the water in the spray is now splashing onto Seawall Boulevard.
And all that high wind, Justin, Centerpoint is now reporting more than 500,000 people, 533,000 customers without power right now.
And I think we were over 1 million during the Durate show.
Yeah.
I hate to sort of be the bearer of bad news here. I would not be shocked if we're going to see over 1 million people without power.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done today. Because this is just getting into some of the more populated areas.
Are we still expecting this to last all day, or is it moving any faster?
No, it's moving at about the latest that we've got. The new advisory actually is just getting loaded up in the weather computers now. So I'll have Caroline pop that in as soon as it's ready to go. But it's still moving at about 10 to 12 miles an hour north. So the two biggest threats over the next 3 to 4 hours for all inland areas, that includes Houston proper, Fort Bend County, out towards parts of Sealy, even into Montgomery County, closer to about 6, 7, or probably about 8, 9 o'clock now at this point, is going to be the wind, creating more power outages, right? That's going to add to that number. And we're going to start to see some of the rainfall totals pick up as well in areas that have not seen a whole lot of rain just yet, including out towards Katy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we want to check in on now, because Justin and Caroline can kind of tell you what to expect, and then we have reporters in the field to show you what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And that is Rilwan Balogan in front of Katy City Hall. Good morning, Rilwan.
Hey, good morning, Haley. Really gotten bad out here in Katy in the last hour or so. At the top of the 5 o'clock, we saw what we now believe to have been a transformer blowing, and then the power around us here really went out, except for the power generator we presume came on behind us at City Hall. We're on Avenue C, and right about 20 minutes ago, we saw another flare, and then all of the power around us is completely gone out, meaning the power about 2 blocks away went out. That's the way we could tell like things have really intensified, and it's really hard to see now because the power outage here in this location. But what I want to show you for a quick bit to see how much the wind has really picked up and the rain has picked up the last. So if we can turn off the light here, I want to get your attention to the light that we have coming from our vehicle. You can really see the wind picking up with the rain here. As you see the reflection onto the roadway here, you can see how intense the wind has been in the last minutes or so. If we pan up towards the flags, you can see the flags really taking a beating at this point. That's what conditions are right now out here in Katy. We know significant power outage is happening, and as Justin just said, we'll likely expect more until we're through the thick of all of this. So that's what things look out like right now. We have seen some emergency crews driving around in the last 20 or so minutes just checking on things. That's the only folks we've seen out on the roadway at this point. I've walked about a block around us just to see if anyone may be trying to get a look at things. No one as of yet. The busy highway boulevard, not a lot of traffic on there, as well as people are, we hope, heeding and listening to what we've been trying to explain to them, that the best thing to do right now is to stay at home as the rain picks up, and we just kind of wait and see until we can get through all of this. Haley, Amy.
All right, thank you so much, Rowan. I mean, we have been tracking this all morning long. And you mentioned earlier, I know we have crews out everywhere. I know you or Caroline said something at about like 11 a.m. for the Woodlands. We know it's raining there now, but is that what we mean? We think how long the rain will last in that area?
Probably, yeah. I'd put it closer to, let's say the Woodlands, what is it, 6:12 now? Probably 7:30, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock hour within the next 90 minutes. The conditions there are going to start to fall apart at this point.
And it's going to get worse.
And it's going to get worse, right. Haley asked me a question when you guys were talking to Rilwan here just a second ago. We were getting his report, and you had said when the backside of this storm, which the eye has moved inland now at this point,
right.
So the storm is going to start to weaken. It's going to take some time because it was wound pretty tightly, right? And so it's not like it was a big storm; it was a compact storm, similar to what we saw with Ike. Ike was not a big storm; it was a small storm, but it was like a buzzsaw, and it came in and just ripped the shreds out of Bolivar and High Island and Galveston and whatnot. Right. So I don't think we're going to see that kind of destruction here, but the power outages are starting to pick up. They're going to start increasing, especially inland areas. Katy, where you said a second ago, Rowan was talking about transformers that are starting to blow. We'll see the same thing probably. Basically from Houston Metro down to the coast, all under flash flood warnings at this hour. They'll start to expire from the coast slowly over the next 1 to 2 hours, but I would expect Spring, Woodlands, Conroe will probably go under flash flood warnings by 8, 9, 10 o'clock this morning. So to answer your question, Haley, I know I kind of like long wind up here, is that by 2, 3, 4 o'clock, that'll be gone. So I think it's probably now through about the next 6 to 7 hours when we're looking at the biggest impacts across most of the area.
And so if you're at home, if you're listening to us, if you can hear us and you're hearing insane, intense winds out of the window, the message is you just got to wait it out.
Yeah, you got to ride this out. And there's about 4 or 5 heavy bands. They're all sliding through with the storm itself. I don't know that we're going to see the winds as strong as what Gage is seeing on the backside of that, but the eye itself is going to go through Wharton County, Fort Bend County, which will include parts of Sugar Land over to Rosenberg. I think it'll go right over top. Sealy between there and Katy, it's going to go right over top, and then eventually start to break up as it moves a little further north. But those rain bands are going to slide in with it as well.
Yeah.
So is it moving north, or is it still expected to head east a little?
I'm glad you asked that question. That's a perfect setup. Let's go over to meteorologist Caroline Brown, who has the latest on what this track is going to do. Caroline.
That's right. We just got our brand new 6 a.m. update from the Hurricane Center. I will say not a lot of change. Even though Beryl made landfall around Matagorda at 4 a.m., 6 a.m. still seeing pressure of 979. So we have not seen that increase, which means we haven't really seen it lose any strength. We're still seeing maximum sustained winds at the center of the eye at 80 miles per hour, and that outer eye wall winds gusting up to 100 miles per hour. Now, the good news is it is still moving, currently moving to the north at 12 miles per hour. So this is not like Harvey. This is going to be getting out of here, but it's going to take a little bit of time. 8 a.m., you can see the center of the circulation likely passing over anywhere between this cone. So between Columbus and the far west beltway, Katy likely going to experience the strongest of the winds during this time. It'll continue to move its way to the north by 11 a.m. The center of the circulation, that's going to be between the Woodlands and Brenham, and then it's going to keep moving to the north. By this point, we certainly expect it to be a tropical storm. This is 3 o'clock north of Huntsville. Madisonville likely seeing gusty winds. Keep in mind, even though it's decreasing in strength, we're still going to see tropical storm force winds in Huntsville and Madisonville at 3 o'clock this afternoon. When you hear tropical storm force winds or hurricane force winds, you can really interpret that to be power outages, downed trees. That means make sure you have a way to get weather information. Keep your devices charged, your phone, your iPad. If you do lose power, you can still watch us. Our apps are free. click2houston.com/watch live. We're going to continue to be updating this through the rest of the day today and even overnight tonight into the day tomorrow. So radar right now showing with it, we've got 3 separate flash flood warnings. These are life-threatening situations. The theme of the day today, that's going to be just hunker down. Hunker down as we continue to see more rain bands pushing their way through. If we animate this, you can see those rain bands moving their way really towards the west at about 50 miles per hour. And one thing we're going to continue to watch with these rain bands is the possibility of a quick spin up tornado. We've already had a confirmed tornado earlier today, and we've had several warnings. But the tricky part about tropical tornadoes is that all of these outer rain bands, there's a lot of inherent rotation. So we'll quickly see a tornado warning issued, and just as quickly as it's issued, it'll expire, which means you need to pay close attention to the weather. And if we say there's a tornado warning for your area, you need to be able to act immediately. That means right now you should know exactly where you would go if a tornado warning was issued in your area. The best spot's going to be an interior room, lowest level, as many walls between yourself and the outside as possible. Really going to be usually an interior pantry, or for most folks going to be a closet. So
what's that new flash flood warning up there? The Woodlands and Bush just popped right at the very end.
Oh, yes. Good call, Justin. So that's a brand new flash flood warning. This is not surprising that we have a new one issued. That does include the Woodlands down towards Bush. That's in place through 9:30 a.m. Let's get a closer look at this. This is from that same rain band that's been advancing its way to the north. As it does, every single place is getting more flash flood warnings. So on the far east side of that, that's going to include areas like Cove to Mont Bellevue, up towards Liberty, Dayton, portions of Highway 90, Humble, Kingwood, Roman Forest, Bush, the airport there where all of the flights are canceled this morning, Spring, Woodlands, Woodlick, the Preserve, Tomball, Charterwood, Stagecoach, Cypress. You are underneath that flash flood warnings. That means imminent danger. Stay off the road. Seriously, today is not the day to get out there. In fact, we can take a look at how much rainfall we've seen. This is going to be radar estimated, but it's actually pretty good. So over the last 3 hours, areas here, we've seen quite a bit of rain. So if we take a look for that brand new warning, they're saying 1 to 1.5 inches of rainfall, perhaps maybe up to 2. The reason why they've issued this likely is because the band that's already pushed through the Houston metro has a history of producing 2 to 3 to even 4.5 inches of rain. This is just in the last 3 hours. So this band pushing its way towards the woodlands, that's why they've issued that flash flood warning. Stay off the roads. We can easily see 5 to 10 inches of rainfall. Even further towards the south, it's going to look like less rainfall here, but that's because this is a 3-hour rainfall total. Our strongest bands have continued to push their way up towards the north. So we do have that flood warnings currently in place. And another look at our power outages. This map, this is going to give us percentage of the counties that don't have power. So if we take a look, you'll notice Jackson County, 43%. Well, Matagorda County, that's where we're seeing over 77%. Brazoria County, 74%. Chambers County, 29%. Wharton County, 81% without power. That's why I'm saying if you're listening right now on TV, plug in your phone, plug in your tablet. Justin, we are going to see these power outages become much more widespread. Yeah. And we're also going to see them drift their way to the north. By this afternoon, we're going to be seeing them well north of I-10.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot, Caroline. Appreciate that. Well, and we were just talking a second ago while she was showing that, as we said, those flash flood warnings are going to start stacking up, and it'll almost be like a slinky, right? Where like they'll start adding on the north side, and they'll be taken out along the coast.
As it moves forward.
Exactly, as the storm starts to slide in. And you saw a minute ago, too, what Caroline was showing, that big band that was headed right towards Galveston. When we talked to Owen Conflenti a little bit ago, Owen had said that they were seeing splashes, spray and surf and water coming up to the top of the steps from the seawall. Seawall 17 feet. Right? So my guess is that his conditions are probably just as bad, if not worse. And so bottom line is, as Caroline said a second ago, if you do not have to go out, if you are watching us right now and you do still have power, especially if you're on the north side, get your phones charged up as fast as you can, just in case if you happen to do lose power. And unfortunately, a lot of folks down there certainly have seen along the coast. It's just really tough sledding between the wind, the storm surge, and of course the power outages.
Charge those up and those battery packs. Right now we're at 752,000 people without power.
It's going to be a million
customers,
by 8/8.
rather.
I'm pretty confident.
Let's check in again with Owen Conflenti out along the Galveston seawall at the Convention and Visitors Bureau there by the San Luis Hotel. Hey, good morning.
Hey guys, you know, I feel like I'm splitting hairs here trying to say if it's better or if it's worse. It's the wind has not really stopped. Maybe it's changed direction slightly. I mean, this live truck has been shaken all over the place. The seawall is still doing its job. You can see the surf has picked up quite a bit, though. We've got some pretty big waves pretty close to shore, and I don't think that's a typical view. And I guess high tide is what now? Maybe an hour away or less, right around 7:30 as I understand it. Not much has changed here at the convention center, though. We've been watching some of the palm trees blowing in the wind. There's a little bit of scattered debris, light scattered debris. To be fair, there are only a few tall palm trees, and they're holding up really well. There's just a few palm leaves scattered about that have blown under we're protected by a portico above us, and we have our live truck here blocking the wind. I did run over to the seawall earlier. I'm not going to do that again because I had a gallon of water in my boots. I don't want to do that again right now, but we'll check it out in a little bit. I hope you guys are okay with me taking a second there. What questions do you have for me at this point, though?
No, we'll let you wait until the sun comes up anyway to see if that water is coming up, splashing up over the seawall.
Yeah.
Good perspective, though. It doesn't look like you've got a break.
I mean, no, I mean, I'll just step out into the wind a little bit.
Yeah, just see what you can see. If you can see anything
from this way other than beach.
Yeah.
But like these waves, I mean, they're not crashing on the seawall. Okay, they're breaking where waves would break.
Right.
But that tide is coming up and hitting the wall, and when it hits, there it is. There's a nice splash line. You see it?
Yep.
Just hang on and watch here. Gio, can you get over this close, maybe? This might mess up your lens. I don't know. Take a look here.
Yeah,
you're going to see a nice splash. I say it's a splash line.
Yeah.
I hate to say words like nice and good. I sound like an idiot, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just watch it here.
Yeah.
Here you go. Hang on. Here it comes. give it a sec. These are some big waves. I don't even want to guess the height of them. This is why the surfers are so crazy. There you go. There's a little splash. Yeah. And this is up and down the seawall.
Yeah, I can see it there.
So you see,
yeah, right
it's
there.
That classic. It slams into the wall, and yeah. So
now, and so a little later this morning, once you finally get the worst of the span, which you're probably going to see, the conditions you're under right now for at least the next 30 to 45 minutes. So just be ready for that.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see once it calms down later this morning, if you're out there, what the dune situation looked like, considering that some of those really got trashed pretty hard during Alberto. And I can't believe that they're going to sustain, if not less, more damage with this.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's something we definitely want to look at when the sun comes up. And obviously, you want to take a drive around the island and see what else we can find.
Yeah.
It's your typical conditions that you would expect right here along the seawall, and there's nobody out. We just saw one truck drive by. I want to say that's probably the first vehicle we've seen in the last hour, other than a handful of emergency vehicles. And now that the light's up, and give you a different view of that bus stop where someone was taking shelter until about 3 in the morning when Galveston PD came along and brought them to safety. Here's another vehicle. With the sun starting to come up, I mean, obviously the sky's a little brighter. I believe we're going to start to see more people venturing out. Galveston, as I've said before, and you guys know this, I mean, the history with hurricanes here, they get a sense that, all right, it's a category 1 and I'm okay. Yeah, I'm going to go drive around, which is not what is advised. But hey, here we are, right? I mean, here we are.
Yeah, but exactly. Well, that's great. I mean, that's good news, and we want to check in with you when we can see even more as the sun comes up. But I mean, I think the good thing too about this hitting overnight and very early in the morning and having so much advance notice is that so many people did already make plans. It's not like you were at work and left to go home and then you get stuck. So, I mean, that's all really good news.
On that point, I think it's we were seeing pictures on social media. I was out of town this past weekend, but pictures of lines at gas stations, coming home and on the way home, finding plastic bags wrapped up around the pumps, right? And then we pulled onto the island, and it was like, I don't know, all the gas pumps were open. I was like, well, this is the place to get gas at 2 in the morning, So maybe to your point, maybe folks all left town already, and here we are. Did those lights flicker again? No. Okay.
Just that flashing.
What is the
That's
power
the latest here right now, guys.
You got power still?
You guys probably have a better overview than I do with the outage map, because right here at the convention center, the lights have flickered on and off throughout the night, but they generally stayed on. The interior lights have been on all night long.
Yeah.
The parking lot lights in the distance at that Kroger, those flickered a number of times throughout the night. So I can't tell you, is that a backup generator there? Was it just a little arc or a transformer? They flash, they come back online. It's hard to say exactly. But, yeah, I mean, it's... From what I can see, the power's on, and I did talk to one of our viewers who lives, I think she said 61st and Strand, or I forget what, my geography's off. It wasn't too far from here. Anyway, they still had power as of a couple hours ago. Good. I feel like it's just hit or miss, but we are going to drive around and check it out once it becomes a little safer to do so. I don't think we want to go venturing out yet with the winds at this speed.
Yeah, I wouldn't. You've still got half of that heavy rain band of those winds coming at you over the next, like I said, 45 minutes to an hour. So maybe by about 7:30, if things have died off, why don't you guys boogie around and let's see what you find, amigo.
Yeah, we're still getting it. Sideways rain. I mean, if I look into it, it's not fun.
Right. All right, we're going to let you maybe sort of dry off and get out of the wind for at least a couple minutes.
Yeah, well, dump the boots out.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Owen. Speaking to those power outages and things he was talking about, saying we have more of a bird's eye view. I mean, we're monitoring and getting information from CenterPoint, but we're seeing now 752,000 customers without power. Yeah. But CenterPoint doesn't have that outage map. They're not showing you where all of those outages are. So we're hearing from some of you as you say, hey, I'm here and I have power. Sure. Or I'm in Klein and I don't. Yep. Texas, New Mexico Power does a little bit, they don't have nearly the number of customers, but does a little bit better job of saying
where it's happening.
This many outages in this city,
Yeah,
and
this
this
is where
many
we're
outages
locating
in that
some of those.
city.
Yeah, that's important.
Exactly. But I mean, widespread power outages already, and we're expecting more as the wind moves through. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we've got two issues over the next 6 hours here. Is we have the heavy rain that's leading to some life-threatening flash flood situations, right? All across parts of Galveston, or excuse me, all across, yeah, Harris, Brazoria, parts of Fort Bend County, down towards Galveston County. Do not leave. If you're just waking up and you're grabbing your first coffee or donut or Red Bull or whatever your drink of choice is for the morning here, stay put, right? Because we've still got probably about 6 hours of this. The coast will get better by about 9, 10 o'clock. All of that's going to shift inland. And that's where we're going to start to really pick up on some of the effects as well. We were talking with Justina a bit ago. We're getting some high water spots that are starting to show up across parts of 59, South Loop, South Beltway as well. And I wouldn't be shocked if the north side's going to start reporting those as these rain bands move in. You saw Owens a second ago there in Galveston. They're not as intense as you get inland, but that goes to the other part to the issue where the wind, Haley, what you were asking, the center of the storm is still active, and it's still moving north into Wharton and eventually southern Fort Bend County, where we could see wind and wind gusts upwards of 60, still maybe 70 miles an hour, which is going to add to the power outages.
Yeah. Very early this morning, I'm sorry, we spoke with Jeff Linder with Harris County Flood Control, and he said at that time, I think, was that like 4 a.m.?
I think so.
He said that we could handle, and the bayous and stuff in Harris County could handle about 8 inches. He said we could handle 8 inches of rain, but anything above that, we're going to start to get worried about, flooding.
Yeah.
So we might have more concerns over just the wind and the power outages, what kind of damage that's going to do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think the flooding is going to be an issue for the next 2 to 3 hours across much of the metro area until we get some of these bands to move on through. And you got to think of it too. If you guys, can you pop up links too there real quick, just so I can show them the radar of what we're seeing here. So if you look at the storm itself, there it is. So it's basically just south of Wharton. You can see and the eye's getting real ragged at this point. I expect it to do that. I mean, that's what happens. It gets on land.
Breaks up.
Right, but if you look just west of Angleton and Lake Jackson, you see that band that almost looks like a hot tamale, right there, that little hot chili pepper, just to so that's the outer rain band. So I would expect that there are winds probably upwards of nearly 65, 75 miles an hour. So there may be some power outages and or structural damage going on, knocking over tree limbs and this and that, right outside of Angleton, moving north as it goes into southern Fort Bend County. Now, the reason why we have all of these flash flood warnings, which is what all those flashing red boxes are, is because these bands continue to lap up. So all what we're seeing in Galveston now, as it starts to slide eastward over in towards High Island and eventually into Chambers County, the storm is going to start to unwind. Think of it kind of like a top real tight, or sort of like a figure skater. When they pull their arms in tight, they go real fast.
Yeah.
And then when they move their arms out, they start to slow down.
Yeah.
And so the storm's basically doing the exact same thing. It's just doing it through Mother Nature at this point.
Yeah, and you just mentioned Angleton. 9,000 out of 9,800 customers there have lost power.
So just about
pretty much everybody.
Yeah, basically everyone
power
at this point. And that's what Caroline showed a second ago when we were looking at the power outages. So we are not done. Again, the entire area is under flood watch through this afternoon. I expect those flash flood warnings, as I mentioned, will start, especially at the coast there, probably within the next 2 hours. They may replace those with flood advisories. So the difference between that is a flash flood warning is more urgent. That's more life-threatening versus a flood advisory, which is, hey, there are some flooded spots. Just be careful if you are headed out. Flash flood warnings, don't, right? It's just best not to at this point. Yesterday, when we had those big, heavy bands come through, we had a couple of flood advisories, but we had no flash flood warnings, even though those were some pretty gnarly storms that came through yesterday afternoon. This is different. This is sustained heavy rain and wind that's causing some of those life-threatening situations there.
Yeah, and speaking of gnarly conditions, we know that in Freeport, where Rochelle is, that it was pretty bad last night too. And we've got Rochelle up now. Rochelle, what's it like there now? I know you went through some intense stuff last night.
Hey, it's still pretty intense out here. We're still at that Buc-ee's here in Freeport, and it hasn't changed really in the past hour. Take a look for yourself. The wind, we've been going through these wind gusts here in the past hour and a half. They are super, super strong at times where we feel like the truck is moving. The rain is coming down sideways. You can see from our shot here just how it's kind of bouncing off the ground and pushing its way through as we zoom in to those gas station pumps. Oh, excuse me, let me bump down just a little bit to show you guys just how strong some of that wind is coming off of the gas pumps. They had it wrapped with plastic wrap, but it's starting to come off. Now, I do want to show you some video, Haley, that we shot overnight of a giant sign here in the parking lot that fell from those strong wind speeds. Take a look at it right here. Now, throughout the night, the wind speed has reached about 50 miles per hour, but the actual wind gust has reached 70 miles per hour. And so we actually caught that on our truck. We saw it, happening. I kept telling photojournalist Michael Lemons, I said, that sign is about to fall over, and we saw it. And one of our editors, Eddie, he was rolling on it at the time, so we were able to capture it. And there was actually a car over there when it happened, and the car quickly came back over. And, it was just a scary moment for all of us. But it hasn't changed really out here. I would say it's kind of picked up here in the past 30 minutes, but we're kind of getting a better look. We're kind of seeing more, not sunlight, but daylight is starting to come out, and so we're hoping to eventually go back over to the beach area, Surfside Beach area, to see if there's any damage in that area, any homes that were destroyed. We've been kind of waiting here. It's the safest spot where a lot of people in the parking lot are also waiting here at this Buc-ee's. We did see some damage here also on the ground, and so we're going to kind of back the truck up a little bit to kind of show you. We do see a car that's in the way, so that car may be blocking it. One of the workers may be blocking it, but it's still strong wind and heavy downpours at times here in the Surfside area. So we're just going to kind of continue to watch it. I've been watching the radar on my phone, and it says it's going to kind of be done hopefully around 3 o'clock. The rain is starting to kind of taper down as we get around the 9 o'clock hour. So that might be our best bet to try to go back over to the Surfside area and kind of check on some of the homes and check on some of the damage that we were seeing when we were out there this morning. So that's the very latest here in, and yes.
Rochelle, what kind of damage are you talking about? You said that a car was covering it, but what are you talking about? Are you talking about something off the building, or what are you looking at?
Yes, there was some damage off of the building that we saw fall from the building, but we can't see it right now just because there was a car.
So maybe like siding
car,
off of that Buc-ee's?
I believe it's in it. Yes, there was some siding either from the roof or from the side of the building that fell. It was sitting in this parking lot.
Yeah, we saw that in one of your last live shots, right? Like it just sort of came off of the building.
Yeah, one of the live shots, there was some damage from the building, and so, we've been. It's just been kind of tough to try to go make a run for it inside, just because the wind is just so crazy and the rain is just coming down sideways. So we just haven't been able to go in there and ask someone. But yes, we have seen some damage out here in the Surfside Freeport area. When we were on the beach earlier, we saw porta potties. They were flying our way. We lost power, so we made the decision to come over here because it was safe. But we saw trash cans, street signs, all kinds of stuff just kind of flying through the air. And so, I'm hoping that everybody over there is okay. It was a voluntary evacuation, but we did see some people that rode out the storm, so hopefully they made the decision to come over here too to kind of get a better look at what we're seeing, because this area right now has power, but it kept flickering on and off when we were in the Surfside area. And I've been trying to put it up on my phone to see how many people in this area don't have power. I've been listening to y'all say it's well over 900 some thousand. So, we're starting to feel those effects still here in this area.
Yeah, exactly. So following the advice that we're giving everybody else, good idea, staying put, getting to a safe spot and staying put, and then you'll be able to maybe go back to Surfside and check that out. CenterPoint Energy covers Freeport, and so they're not breaking down for us exactly how many people in Freeport don't have power or Surfside, but it's 752,000 CenterPoint customers overall.
Across the entire
So that's a whole lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, all right.
So we've got Rochelle in Freeport. We saw Owen in Galveston and Gage in Matagorda. So all of our reporters along the coast there are talking about these strong, intense winds. As you see, Rochelle is taking cover at a Buc-ee's in that area along with some other people. There were voluntary evacuations in these areas, so we can assume that some people might have already left their homes, some people might be there. If you're hearing us and you're hearing these strong winds, we know that it is expected to last a little bit longer, so you're just supposed to stay put. Nobody should be getting out on the roads right now. And to give us a better look at the roads, Justina's here to join us now.